Om Shri Sai Ram. I offer my most humble and loving salutations at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan, Sri Satya Sai Baba. Dear brothers and sisters, yet again it's a pleasure and privilege to bring you another episode of his story through the eyes of his boys. And let's jump into the program and join me for the prayer. And as always, I request everybody to say it with me. O Lord, take my love and let it flow in fullness of devotion to Thee. O Lord, take my hands and let them work incessantly for Thee. O Lord, take my soul and let it be merged in one with Thee. O Lord, take my mind and thoughts and let them be in tune with Thee. O Lord, take my everything and let me be an instrument to work for Thee. Om Shri Sai Ram. Today, yet another day in these challenging times. The only hope which keeps us going is that there is God and we are with Him. That protective care of our Master is one huge strength which keeps us positive and happy in life. And as Sage Narada said, there is nothing better than listening to the glory of the Master. There is nothing pious in other than exploring the life and teaching of the Avatar. We are blessed to have so many versions from every different person to learn about our Guru, our God, and see how he has impacted so many lives. This evening, I have another brother who is academician and also a filmmaker and a screenwriter. Brother Vinaayak, he studied in Bhagwan's college. He was the first batch of students in 1981. He joined in PUC, what we call it as a pre-university course, which was kind of 11th grade in those years. It was a starting in Prashantinilayam campus. And then on, he continued doing his BCom and MCom before he went on to do his professional duties. Presently, he is based in Hyderabad, India. He is the founder CEO of an international residential school named as Abhyasa. And we will learn more about that offering. And he is also a passionate filmmaker. So it's a very unique combination. So with these few words, let me have the pleasure to welcome Brother Vinaayak. Sai Ram, Brother Vinaayak.
Sai Ram, Abhimanyu, and Sai Ram brothers and sisters all over who are listening to this program.
Thank you for joining today and welcome on this offering called His Story Through the Eyes of His Boys. So,
my pleasure, Abhimanyu. I take it as Swami's blessing. Thank you.
Welcome. Just from your introduction, I'm just curious. As they say, education, you can say more or less has to have a little bit of you know, exposure and interest. But filmmaking is a very passionate thing. So, did you have any of these things in your childhood, starting up some interest or some kind of an inclination that you had this creative edge in you? Something was there?
Yeah, definitely, Abhimanyu. I was quite inclined to, I would say, fine arts and culture right from my childhood. And live in Secunderabad, just opposite to the most popular cultural center in Secunderabad. And almost every week, there were cultural programs going on there. And it came naturally to me. I was not much of a sports guy, and I never used to go out and play sports much, but listen to music, watch dance programs, or watch dramatics. And even when I was alone, in front of the mirror, I used to do mono acting, and this was a passion I
Okay,
had for the fine arts and filmmaking. As you know, it's a perfect art form which encompasses all the 64 forms of fine arts.
fine. Yes, excellent.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go for time reasons, not into the 64 arts forms today. But yes, I would just love to know how was your life before you came to Bhagwan's fold? Give us a glimpse into that. What kind of family background, interest in spirituality, if at all? So please do share.
Okay. I hail from Secunderabad, and my father tells me that we are the original inhabitants of Secunderabad. When India got independence, there were just 25,000 people here. And my grandfather was also from this place, obviously, and he was a freedom fighter, took part in the freedom movement. He was also an Arya Samaji. And both my grandfather and father were contractors in the South Central Railway. So our residence also is just in the backyard of the South Central Railway headquarters. So this is my background about the family. And right from childhood, apart from fine arts, I was introduced a lot to religion as well as spirituality by both my parents and also my grandfather. Why I'm stressing on grandfather is my grandmother passed away when I was just 1 year old. I don't remember much of her. So my parents are quite religious people, and I think in those days, by the time I came to seventh grade, almost every Swamiji of South India, right from Kanchi Kamakoti Peetham to the Udupi Mat Swamiji, all of them had visited our home in Secunderabad, and I'd seen almost every one of them at home. And as I told you, I live in front of a cultural center, the cultural hub of Secunderabad. So everybody used to come here, and mother used to invite them home, and so this was my introduction to, I should say, religion, culture, arts, and spirituality. And my uncle, one of my uncles, he is a ardent devotee of Swami. In fact, in the very first session, you had my cousin Ashok Anand at your session. He also
Sure,
belongs
sure.
to the
Yeah,
first batch of, yeah. So his father, Mr. Purushottam, was the guiding force who drove us into Swami's fold. And yeah, here you see my uncle, late Mr. Purushottam. He was a contractor for the Anantapur College, the Women's College at Anantapur.
yeah, we have
And
heard his story. Hmm.
yeah, so you see him here walking behind Swami at the Anantapur College. So they regularly used to have bhajans in their house, and I used to attend those bhajans. And instantly, I was attracted to Swami as somebody not just of the other Swamijis whom I had seen in my childhood, but somebody a cut above the rest. It took me quite a while to realize who really was, but uh, definitely I used to go regularly to Shivam whenever Swami visited Hyderabad. Those days, almost every year, sometimes once in 6 months also. Regularly, I used to have darshan.
Do you
And
have
in
any
fact,
recollection of your first darshan?
yeah, the closest I would say was in 1973 when Swami came to my uncle's place to lay the foundation stone or do the Bhumi Pujan of their new house that they were supposed to construct. And there were
Okay.
hardly 5 to 10 people, just my family, my uncle's family, 5 to 10 of us, and I saw Swami with close at close quarters, and he just captured my imagination. He struck those divine chords in my soul, and I knew the moment I saw him from close quarters that this is the person I have been looking for, because I had been quite a seeker right from my childhood. As I told you, I never used to go out and play. In my free time also, I used to uh, do a lot of pujas or prayers and stuff like that, apart from fine arts, that is. So the moment I saw Swami, it struck the right chords in my soul, and I thought, this is the persona I've been waiting for throughout my life. And the uniqueness, because I told you I've seen a lot of Swamijis in my childhood, the glow, the aura around Swami is something just out of this earth, out of this world. And incidentally, I should also mention this. That day, I missed school because Bhagwan came to my uncle's place. And next day, when I went back to school, our teacher asked 3 of us in the class, uh, 3 of you, why didn't you come yesterday? And there was absolutely no information, no doctor's certificate that we're unwell. So one of my friends, I just kept mum, but one of my friends, classmates who also joined Bharti, Arun Tiwari, he said, uh, ma'am, uh, our divine God, Bhagwan Satyasai, had come to Hyderabad and we went to have his darshan. Then the teacher was a Christian. Obviously, she started saying, no, you shouldn't believe in all such things and blah, 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 blah. So but Swami, somehow he makes his presence felt everywhere. The whole period was all about Swami, nothing else. And immediately after the period, there was a break. And one of my friends, my close friends, who's actually an atheist, he also came and said, look, I also saw Satya Sai Baba recently when he came to somebody's house. I said, no, you're bluffing. No, kids, you know how we talk. No, you're bluffing. Tell me how he looks. And to my surprise, even my friend said, he has long hair, bushy hair. He wears an orange robe. And his face is something shining, shining, shining. So this is what struck me as a young child who was hardly 8 years old, that we don't need to really check his miracles. Swami says always test me and believe me. But in case of Swami, you don't need to verify whether those miracles are right or wrong or blah, blah, blah. I think the very sight of Swami, that tejas, that glow, which I have till date not seen in any other human being, is itself a very, very strong revelation that he is a divine avatar, a divine persona. So that was the first impression, or the early impression of my
You know,
childhood.
it's a very strange thing that only people who have seen it can relate to
Mm.
it. Those who have not
Okay.
seen it, it is difficult for people to, and relate to what you're saying. But yeah, you're right. It's a very,
Because
very beautiful and a very out of the world experience just to watch him that way. But one
subsequently,
has to be receptive. Yeah. Sorry,
I've
please carry
read
on.
quite many authors write about this. In fact, if you have read the book, A Catholic Priest Meets Sai Baba,
Yeah.
Mazzoloni, he writes, when I saw Swami, it's as if there was a fluorescent light beneath his skin. That's how he describes it. Anyway,
It has to be
so
readiness for that.
Hmm.
So how did you get interested in studying with Bhagwan in the school?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, every year Swami used to come to Hyderabad, Shivam, and I hardly went to Parthi because I used to have two times darshan at Hyderabad itself, and summers Swami was never there in Parthi. And subsequently, in the year 1978, my uncle's daughter, my first cousin, she joined Anantapur College. And she regularly used to write to me saying that I want to see you also one day as a student of Swami. Almost every month she used to write and very inspirational, sharing whatever Swami used to talk to them and stuff like that. And a year later, in 1979, when the Bharti College started, my other cousin, this cousin sister's elder brother, Ashokanand, whom we are talking about, he also joined Puttaparthi. And when they came home for vacation, I could see a phenomenal transformation in them. So even when I was in my ninth grade, probably just 12 years, a teenager, this phenomenal transformation that I saw was something that struck me. Oh my God, if this place, this Sai Baba's college or the Sai Baba can do so much, I mean, for two individuals whom I've been very close to, then I should be there as my sister was, inspiring me to go there. And then I remember in 1979, um, February, Swami suddenly came to Hyderabad. It was not a scheduled visit. One Mr. V.D. Prasad Rao, who was very close to Bhagwan, he had passed away. So Swami just flew down to Hyderabad to console this Prasad Rao Garu's family. And as soon as I came back from school, my mom said, "Look, Swami is here, so come, get ready fast. We are going there." So I was thrilled, and just a few weeks back, I had made the decision that I'm going to join Swami's college, and in fact, the process of wearing white attire also started even at that age, that time itself. And then I quickly wrote a letter to Swami. Tore a page from my notebook and wrote a letter to Swami. Swami, I decided to join your college. You should give me a seat. Today, if you accept this letter, that means it's an assurance from you that you're going to give me a seat in your college. Please accept it. Then my mother gave some fruits and some flowers, all within minutes arranged. And then when I went to Shivam, I was very surprised. There were hardly about 200 or 300 people at the most there because it was a sudden visit of Swami. Just like for those Hyderabadis who can relate, today on any given Sunday for Bhajan, how many people are there? Just that many people were there. And so luckily, thanks to my uncle, again, I got an opportunity to sit in the front. And as soon as Bhagwan came out, he straight came to me and my hand was full, fruits and flowers and the letter. Swami came, gave a beautiful smile, and I was holding the letter, in between my fingers like this. So Swami just took the letter, he blessed the flowers and the fruit and said, Pandu Nidagre Unchuko Bangari, keep the fruit with you. And then I thanked Swami. Swami, this is an assurance you are giving me that you're going to give me a seat in your college. So I was in ninth grade. Then next year I wrote the board exams. And after I wrote the board exams, when the results came, I somehow, I don't know, even today, I don't know. I got very less marks in English, hardly 35 marks. I don't think, even by your standards, my English is so bad. But something happened. The very first exam was English, and probably I goofed it up because I thought, uh, when the answer sheet was given, everything has to be fit in that answer sheet. So I wrote in a very small handwriting and crammed everything into that single sheet. Later on, I saw everybody was taking an additional answer, whatever it is. I got very less marks in English. And then when I applied to Swami's college in Puttaparthi, June was over, July was over. I was not getting a call letter for an interview or anything. And when I inquired through Ashok that I was not getting a call letter, and he found out and said that you have been rejected because you have to get at least minimum 40 or 45% in English. That's a condition for getting admission into Swami's college. And my dad told me, you better go and join and continue in the school where you were studying. So I joined 11th class there and continued to study there. So I had almost given up hopes of getting a seat in Swami's college. And surprisingly, I also reconciled, saying that maybe if I got there in a remote place, I would have got bored. I think I'm having fun now. Childhood friends, right from my first grade, they were all there. I was enjoying it. I no longer, surprisingly, I no longer wanted to go to Swami's college anymore. Then one fine day, I remember it was the 14th of August, where every year we have the school parade one day before the Independence Day. So my uncle called up and said, hey, Vinay, come, let's go to Puttaparthi, pack your luggage, I'm coming home, I'll pick you up. We'll board the bus and go to Puttaparthi. Since you have 2-3 days holidays, next day was Independence Day, and then after that a Sunday. Come, let's go to Puttaparthi.
Let me pause
So I
you.
was,
The letter which you gave to Bhagwan was in 1980, right? 1980.
19, oh yeah, you're right. 9th class, 1980, right. You're right.
Okay, so then when you
Thanks
gave
for,
that letter and then you came to give an entrance exam in the next following, that is 1980, and then did not
there was no
get it.
there was no entrance exam those days. They just
Oh,
used to
for
go by marks, but there was an
okay,
interview.
okay, okay. So you
This
submitted
was
your
the
mark
junior
sheet, and
college.
so
This
even
was the
though Bhagwan,
Satyasai Junior College.
okay, so Bhagwan accepted your letter, but you didn't get admission at that time. You went back.
Yeah,
So you studied
yeah.
for 1 year in Hyderabad, and
Not
then
1 year. It was
not even
just
one
three
year.
months.
Okay, 3 months.
June, July,
Okay,
August. Yeah,
August.
yeah,
Okay, then uncle brought you back to Parthi.
yeah. He said, let's go and
Okay.
try. You have 3 days holidays.
Hmm.
So let's go and try if we can get a seat there. So 15th of August, I was there in Parthi. And after Bhajan, we went and met the warden there, Mr. Nityan Menon. And as soon as he saw my uncle, there were lots of people waiting for him in the guest room. And he said, sorry, admissions are all full. It's not possible. And he waited before talking to others. That means he wanted us to go out. So we just went out of the room and he started talking to other people. And then we are just hanging around there waiting for Ashok to come. He was in the kitchen. So we just hung around there for half an hour more. After half an hour, he saw everybody and he came and said, okay, you come and meet me tomorrow after Bhajan. Let me see what I can do. That was the word he said. So there was some hope, but again, a mixture. What is this? I thought Swami didn't want me. Now again, uh, okay, I thought, and that day was over. And that day, even when Ashok came to the room in West Prashanti, he was saying that, see, this is like any other college. Why do you want to join here? Are you sure that you want to join here? Uh, just for that moments which you spend in the mandir in Bharti. It's like any other college, not that don't have high hopes and all those things. So I thought, okay, Swami, before going, I prayed, it's your will, it's your wish, whatever you want, I leave it to you. Because, Abhimanyu, I should also tell you that at home, I maintained a small altar for Swami. Uh, apart from the puja room that we had at home, in my own room, in one corner, I maintained an altar for Swami. And every day I used to pray morning and evening. I used to literally talk to Swami. As I told you, I was an introvert, never went out to play. So Swami was my sole companion. And anything, any feelings, any fears, any apprehensions, all my innermost thoughts I used to share with Swami. And one of the prayer I used to make every day was, Swami, keep me good. Even out of any swaying that happens in my emotions, even out of any influence from my friends, I may be treading the wrong path, but it is your duty to see that I don't tread the wrong path, and please take care of me. That was I don't know, I was very particular about that. I don't know why. This is the prayer I used to make almost every day. So this kind of a surrender was there even before I joined, and I left everything to Swami, whatever you say. So next day morning, myself and uncle went to the hostel after bhajan, and those days bhajan used to be there at 11 o'clock in the morning, and 11:30 it was over, or at 12 o'clock
Yes.
we went. So as soon as the warden saw us, he said, I asked you to come at 8 o'clock in the morning, right? Why have you come now at 12 o'clock? He said, "Hey," and he just walked away. Then my uncle started blasting me. You were the one who said we'll go for bhajan, and you said it's after bhajan. See, again, you lost a chance. uh, um, there's a golden opportunity. See, and I was literally flustered. I don't know what to say. What is the Swami are trying to test me and all that? Then, after 5 minutes, Ashok came by and he said, "Okay, come, let's go get your luggage. Uh, we'll put your luggage inside." I said, "What is this?" I mean, there's not even a word you're selected. Uh, you know, Bhagwan has given you a seat, or warden has given you a seat, or principal has given you a seat. Nothing. He just said, "Come, let's go and get your luggage." So, am I selected? Yeah, obviously, man, you're selected.
That's
Then on
very
the
funny.
way, he clarified that the principal, Dr. Balbhadra Naidu, he was there in he was there in Vrindavan, because Swami was that time in Vrindavan, by the way. I didn't mention this. Swami was not there in Parthi, Swami was in Vrindavan. And the principal had taken the list of students, selected students, to Bhagwan. And it so happened the previous day itself, the warden had contacted the principal and the list, and my name was recommended to Bhagwan. And obviously, we know that every student is finally selected and ticked by Bhagwan. So that way, I set foot into the new world, a new realm of Prashantilayam Satyasai Hostel. And
Vinayak, we have heard a lot from many of the boys also about that era. How
okay.
things were in that era when you joined the hostel.
Mhm,
Typically from I would say seventh grade to PhD.
mhm,
I don't know PhD was there,
mhm,
but at least the postgraduate was there. So such a
mhm,
wide range of hostel. Today you are an
mhm,
educationist. Today you run an a residential school, so to say.
mhm,
So
mhm,
looking back, how would you
mhm.
really look at that phase and understand what Bhagwan did under the banner of value education?
Yeah,
How
good
would you
question,
explain hostel
Himanyu.
life? Like look at hostel life and tell us about it.
Firstly, you made a connection between Abhyasa and Bhagwan's college. So everything that today we are implementing at Abhyasa is nothing but a reflection of Satyasai institutions and Swami's education philosophy and his curriculum that he implemented in our school and college and hostel. The first impression after going to hostel was it is like a large family. There were students right from seventh grade to the final year graduation. So, like, age from almost uh, 9, 10 years to 20 years, 21 years. And there was no hierarchy. We called each other by names. We called, um, uh, you know, in school, I used to see that the seniors used to rag the juniors, and there were bullies inside the same class. But absolutely nothing of that sort. It was like one large family, as if we were all brothers, we were all siblings of one mother. That was the first thing that struck me. And there were students from all over the world. There was a Bengali, there was a Tamilian, there was an overseas, there was somebody from Africa, there's somebody from North America. That was another uh, aspect that expanded the vision or expanded the outlook of one's personality. And most importantly, it was a cultural hub. And I took to that place just as a fish takes to water. When I was in school, in my erstwhile school, it was supposed to be one of the top 10 schools in India, but I was never recognized for my talents and all that. But here was a place, uh, I'm sure you would also remember, even if Swami was not there in Parthi, Swami was in Vrindavan, or those days Swami used to also travel a lot. Some senior student used to come and say, "Hey, you're good at that. Come on, you're good at the instrument. Go and play that instrument." So suddenly, one fine day, somebody came to me and said, "Okay, I heard that you dance well." It was Sankranti, and they said, "Okay, let's have your dance program." So I took to so many activities, right from the school, the college, hostel, the wisdom wall, to learning Vedas, to learning music also for some time, and also got into dance, drama, so on and so forth. So this is where there are two depictions in this picture that you see. Background is a wisdom wall. This was inaugurated by Swami on Guru Purnima of 1984, and the principal made me in charge of uh, updating that every week and every 2 3 days whenever there's something important.
I want to tell the
And
viewers what is wisdom wall actually. So it is
okay.
something like a notice board, but that is
Mhm.
not for notices. That is for uh, some inspiring quotes and visuals. So I believe Vinayak brother, you were responsible for wisdom wall, right? So please
Yeah,
share that.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So spiritual quotes of Swami, then the activities that are happening in the hostel in Prashant Nilayam, pictures of that. And sometimes whenever an event happened, I used to place all the photographs of the event with the numbers for each photographs. If some of the staff and the students wanted to order those photographs in which they were present, or they wanted to chronicle some of that events, which so they used to give their orders to me. So it had multiple purposes, this wisdom wall. And this was an occasion in college where we were welcoming Swami to attend a program, and uh, welcoming Swami through Vedic chanting. The Vedic chanting is another opportunity where you are blessed by Swami whenever there is an occasion to have his Padanamaskar, welcome him by chanting Veda. And this was one of the birthdays, I think it was in 1987, if I remember, birthday of Swami. Swami gave us dresses, a dhoti and an angavastram. This was during the Dasara time, where we used to have opportunity to sit on the stage and observe the Purnahuti that Swami used to perform in the Veda Purusha Sapta Jnana Yajna every year. So Swami used to materialize all the Navratnas, and it was a thrill watching everything through close quarters.
No, that's why I'm
And
asking you from that perspective. You know, when you look at all of these activities happening, and
okay,
how do you see that as your foundation of what you're doing today? You know,
yeah, as I mentioned, in the previous school, I was unrecognized, and here was an opportunity where the personality just blossomed. I was thinking I was an introvert. I was thinking I was good for nothing. I developed an inferiority complex. But coming here, it was a 180 degrees change from east to west, or west to east, I would say. So I started becoming confident, started becoming an extrovert. When I recognized my talent, I gained a lot of confidence. And this was a place, you see, everybody was into something. Some boys went to the Gokulam, and looked after the cows. Some boys were working in the kitchen. Some boys were taking care of the store. Some boys were taking care of the fruit stall. Some boys were taking care of the zoo, the animals in the zoo. So you name it, everybody was there into some or the other activity. So your interests, your talents, everything was recognized there. And it was also an opportunity to offer something to Swami. Some of these boys used to do the decoration of the mandir during the festival days. They were called the light boys. So, I mean, you name it and it was there. That
You
was
got
the,
your you got your interest of photography also there, right? You became
yeah. So
uh,
maybe that was
uh,
a foundation for the filmmaking aspect of it. The first thing I asked from my dad was a camera, because I could see that when you had a camera in your hand, you can just go run behind Swami wherever he went.
it was a
You don't
very
have
big
to sit.
passport. It was a big
Yeah,
passport.
yeah, passport, visa, everything. You need not have to sit in one place along with
For
others.
people who don't know, I would like to highlight he is Mr. V.K. Gokak, our first vice chancellor of the
Yeah.
university, and a very very learned man. So
You know, Abhimanyu, I always interpret this picture as Vinayak Krishna, Lord Krishna is there, and Gokak
Gokak.
is, because Dr. Gokak's full name was Vinayak Krishna Gokak. So you
Yes,
see
yes,
all the three presidents there.
yeah.
Okay, this was during the Dasara time when the Golden Chariot was inaugurated those days. Not the latest one, but Swami had another chariot. We
Vinayak,
still have.
surprisingly, I have your memory as a dancer. First initial memories of mine of you was you and Vedanarayan. Both of you
Okay,
had, presented a dance to Swami in the hostel. So that was my
yeah.
memory. But I understand you got an opportunity to learn. So if you can tell us that story, how Bhagwan fulfilled your that desire.
Yeah. So after that dance program on a Sankranti evening at hostel when Swami was not there in Puttaparthi, as soon as Swami came back to Parthi a week later, I wrote to Swami saying that Swami, I have, because I had also read about Swami in Satyam Shivan Sundaram, that Swami used to also perform dance programs.
Dances.
Uh, so I sort of had the audacity to compare myself with Bhagwan and said, look, Swami, like you, I also have a lot of interest in dance, and uh, I gave a program in the hostel also, and I would like to perform in your presence, Swami. Please give an opportunity. So once Swami read that letter, that evening he came, and uh, incidentally, you remember all the classes used to go as a batch and sit in the front. Today your class, next day my class,
Mhm.
like that we used to go. So that day we happened to be in the front, and then Swami made fun of me and saying, "Oh, this fellow wants to dance and all that." Then he asked my classmates, "Did you see his dance? Did you see his dance?" And everybody was mum and they're smiling or giggling to themselves and all that. See, nobody's saying that they saw your dance or they liked your dance. Uh, you seem to be so tall and lanky. How? I don't think you can dance. No, sit down. He said, and just left the topic. But incidentally, after 4 months, we had in the next academic year, that is, we had a dance master which Swami had arranged from Hyderabad. And if you remember, there were lots of dance training groups that have been trained for dance. One for Bhangra, one for tribal, one for
There was a Naga
something
dance.
else,
There was a yeah.
Naga dance. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that time I was also in a group dance, and I got an opportunity to present in front of Swami when Swami visited the hostel. And then again, once again, I wrote to Swami saying that, Swami, the time I asked you, you said no, but see, now I danced in front of you, and you fulfill my this thing. The next day, Swami
Did you
came, and
did you say this or did you write to him?
I wrote to him.
Wrote
I'm
to him. Okay.
sure you must have never seen me, that introvert nature in me. I never used to be very overt or outspoken and rush to Swami and say, Swami.
It's fine. I'm just
So,
highlighting that, okay, your relationship with him was more prayer and writing letters. That's it.
yeah.
So cool. So
So,
you told
yeah,
him about your interest in
yeah,
dance. Hmm.
interest in dance. Yeah. So, uh, then next day again, Swami came in the veranda and he asked me, did you learn dance? I said, no, Swami, I never learned dance, but due to my interest, I can watch dance and imitate. So that's how I this thing. And Swami said, now that the dance master is here from Hyderabad for the next 4 5 months, do you want to learn? I said, Swami, if you will and if you wish, definitely I would like to. Okay, okay. Tomorrow I'll send word, give instructions to the warden how to do it. So imagine just for one student who was that too shy, introvert, I would never run to get the first place in the mandir. I would always sit in the back calmly and silently, and whom I thought Swami didn't know me physically also. Just one letter, and this Divine Mother goes out of her way and arranges for a dance tutor exclusively for me. So initially, the dance classes used to go on in behind West Prashanti, the sheds. Now they are used for people to stay, those sheds with Sevadal stay and all that. So there it used to go on. Then after 1 week, Swami himself sent word through the warden saying, look, he's spending a lot of time going all the way to the West Prashanti, uh, and again he has to walk back before college. So let the dance classes happen in the college itself. He can continue till the prayer time also, and need not attend the assembly and prayer also. See, such minute details Bhagwan looked into for each one
Beautiful.
of us. So this was a venue, the college temple where we used to do our morning classes for dance before
This was, I
everybody
want to
else.
highlight it to the people that this was a Ganesha small temple in the middle of the quadrangle of the college. So if you enter the college building, uh, so it's right in the front, you can see, and it's all surrounded by a quadrangle garden. And behind
There were
that
also
was the zoo.
there was a there were a lot of deer and a nilgai
Yeah,
surrendered
behind
by
that was zoo.
us.
So it is like on top of that, you are doing your practice. It's
Yeah,
amazing. It is really sweet. Cool.
all Bhagwan's. You know, I mean, I'm not talking in a very spiritual or high. It's a very, very mundane thing. Swami demonstrated his love to each and every student. That is why when Swami said, I have love of 1,000 mothers, we didn't know. I mean, we didn't realize then, I guess. But now when I look back, for each of the student, he was a separate mother with a separate treatment, separate handling according to the individual's personality, according to the individual's tastes and talents. See, like we read in the Bhagavata that in Vrindavan, the Gopikas wanted to be close to Krishna. So Krishna used to take multiple number of forms. As many Gopikas, he used to take so many forms. So this is what I see about Swami. He takes the forms of so many mothers for each of his students. So even love of 1,000 mothers is too understated. As one of our brothers was saying in another program recently, his love is infinite, infinite mother's love. So this is how Bhagwan recognized and molded the personality of each student. And after 4 months, I got trained in the first step of Bharatanatyam, Alaripu. Then again, I approached Bhagwan, Swami, I learned Alaripu and I want to perform in front of you. And Swami said, see, I told you already, sit down, sit down. And that year we had this program by Dr. R. Venkatraman was supposed to come, the Vice President of India. So we had a program in the Hillview Stadium. First time we had a program in the open air theater, open air stadium. where uh, we did all the dance performances and various acrobatics and all that stuff. So somehow again, I had to wait for one more year to really get a chance to perform before Bhagwan. The next year was the 60th birthday, and that was a real a watershed or a landmark event in Bhagwan's mission, where Swami, uh, his lifestyle, why I say lifestyle is that was the time he stopped accepting garlands, that was the time he stopped eating uh, pan, uh, betel nuts, betel leaves. That was the time his travels to other cities and other uh, states faded a little, and he started concentrating more on Puttaparthi. And it is after the 60th birthday that the hospital, the water project, everything. So 60th birthday was a real uh, turning point, I should say, for us and in the mission of Bhagwan. And during that time, Swami wanted all the students to be involved in something or other. So somebody was giving a music program, and somebody was giving an English, participating in English drama. And there was a Telugu drama named Radha Bhakti, which Swami had written during his childhood, in his younger days, and which he used to stage along with his friends in the village. So that script,
1962, he had started that program, right? And then he had
that was
revised
with
it
the,
in with
yeah,
the Ved
that was with
Pathshala
the
children.
Ved Pathshala students. So
Hmm.
Swami gave the script to Dr. Hirok and said, "You go through it and select." And Swami himself chose. So Dr.
Correct.
Shiv Shankar Sai is going to play Krishna's role, and Dr. Dev Sen will be playing Satyabhama's role, like that, selected. And every day almost, Swami used to give interviews to this group, the English drama group, the Telugu drama group, and the music group, and so on. So every day when I used to see this boys go in and out of the interview room, again I said, Swami, you know my heart, how much I'm interested in fine arts, and I want to play a role in your drama, that too a drama written by you. So again, as you rightly pointed out, I wrote a letter to Swami. I never asked, I never had the courage to get up and ask. I just wrote a very quiet letter to Swami and posted it. And then after 2 days, when Swami called the Telugu drama boys, it seems, they told me later on, that seems Swami told the boys, see, this drama is ending on a very sad note. Krishna comes back to Vrindavan after many years, and then Radha becomes very emotional and she surrenders to Krishna and she merges with Krishna. So it's ending on a very sad note. I think we should end the drama. See, this drama was already done by Swami two, three times much for so many years. But look at his love. He responds to one prayer and says, let's alter the drama and let's have a happy ending. So after Radha merges with Krishna, Krishna should come back to Gokulam also from Vrindavan. He comes to his mother Yashoda. Though historically it never happened, Swami is, of course, Krishna himself. We don't know what exactly happened, only he knows. So he created a scene where Krishna comes back to Yashoda to visit his foster mother. And then immediately he asked this question to the students, who would be playing this role? You think this boy Vinayak would suit that role? And everybody was startled because does Swami know Vinayak, and why is Swami taking up Vinayak's name? So they didn't know whether to say, even say yes or no. Okay, tomorrow when we have the thing, you call him also, let him come. So that was my first entry into the drama group, and
So it was his recommended for you to join drama as a role for
yeah,
Yashoda.
Yashoda. And then
Hmm.
there was a song which Yashoda had to sing. Then Swami asked me, "Enu padtavara? Can you sing?"
Can
I
you
said,
sing?
yes, Swami, I can sing. Then, yeah, Oddu. Even before I opened my mouth, Swami said, no, don't want. No, padite, andaru padtaru. If you sing, everybody will faint. The audience will faint. So don't open your mouth. Then he selected one of the students, Ram Divakar. He was in school that time. So he was playing the role of Yashoda's maid, an assistant. Who then let the assistant sing the song, and you just emote and all that. And I can't forget those lovely moments when Swami used to come to the institute auditorium and personally direct each and every scene. If I'm permitted, I can share some of the, you know, the funny incidents or the humorous way in Swami,
Sure,
how
sure.
he.
Please do that. Please do.
So first time when this is the on the 60th birthday, 21st of November 1985, not this, the previous one,
Yeah.
where you see me in purple sari on the right hand side. That's Yashoda. Yeah. So in the college
You carry on with your
auditorium,
story. Yeah.
yeah, in the college auditorium, Swami used to visit every morning after Arti, after Bhajan. And the first time when this was the Veda Purusha Yajna.
Mm.
Okay, the first time when he came, he said, okay, now let's do the Yashoda scene. Okay, hey, go up the stage. When I started going up the stage, he was coming to the register. This guy is shaking so much even while climbing the stage. I don't know how much he's going to shake after going up the stage. And then uh, just we had decided among ourselves that some Yashoda will be putting rangoli and all that. So when I was sitting down putting the rangoli, Swami said, no, 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 Yashoda should not be doing all such things. She's the queen of the place, so she'll have maids, domestic helps who will be doing all these things. So you should just be sitting there like a queen, and then Krishna and Rukmini should enter the scenario. Before that, one boy enters. I remember it was Kata Bhaskar, who comes and says, Swami, Swami, Krishna Dostunadu. Hey, entra mukamo, edo pamun chusi, telun chusnattu, as though you've seen a snake or a scorpion there. When you see Krishna coming, you should be so much full of ecstasy when you say that. Where is the smile on your face? And then, then Tabaskar revised his lines. And then Krishna and Rukmini are coming. And Swami said, hey, only two of you are coming. You're going to Marina Beach and come or what? Both of you. You should come in a whole group. When Krishna comes to the Gokulam, all the villagers will follow. All the actors who acted in the previous scenes of the drama, everybody should come together. Come on, go back and come together. Then everybody comes onto the stage, and then Yashoda goes and, oh Krishna, have you come after so many days, after so many years? It's so nice to see you. And then, hey, that's not the way to greet. You're not a modern mom or something like that. See, in the olden days, whenever the mothers or the grandmothers saw their children or grandchildren, they used to, do this in front of, and, they used to, yeah,
It's like you're
touch the
saying
face of
you're
the,
casting the bad eye.
yeah, touch the face of the person, and then, you know, crack the knuckles on their head. So you have to do that. So then I started doing that. Hey, Krishna, have you come? And when I was touching this face, careful, careful. Krishna will have blue paint on his face. If you touch him hard, all the blue paint will come to your hand. Just touch for the sake of touching. Don't rub his face hard. So, I mean, there's absolutely, it just be fun, when you have the God, divine director himself directing a play. Those are unforgettable moments. So this way, days passed, and after Telugu drama, it should be English drama, then the music program. And Swami also deputed Anjali Devi Garu, who was a erstwhile actress, to take care as the birthday celebrations were getting busy, getting closer, and Swami was getting busier. Uh, So he appointed her to take care of the daily rehearsals and all that.
Vinayak,
I,
when you think back about all these wonderful
yeah.
memories,
Hmm.
obviously on the face of it, these are blessings of Bhagwan. He
Okay.
gave us the opportunity to experience his love, his
Hmm.
care, you
Hmm.
know, interactions. That is one aspect of it, where we enjoyed it. We don't have to
Yeah.
use our head to understand what's happening there at that time.
Yeah.
But now when you look back in your life,
Hmm.
we can't help but acknowledge that his every activity was not just for that moment, for that sake of doing a play. It was much more than just a play. It had
Hmm.
a purpose and impact in the life.
Hmm.
So when you look at your life and you say that you did Veda chanting, you did role of a Yashoda in the play, how
Hmm.
do you relate today
Hmm.
that, how do you relate it for today that those activity which Bhagwan made you go through, be it
Hmm.
dancing, be it photography, be it Yashoda, acting like a Yashoda, how has it helped you today, what you are doing today?
Yeah, I have a, a live experience for that, Abhimanyu. I'll come a little step by step.
Sure.
Firstly, uh, you introduced me as a filmmaker. If you see the activities, photography, can you show that first picture that I took of Swami? It was
Oh, that.
on the Ugadi day of 1981. Sorry, 82. Ugadi day 1982. As soon as Swami stepped out of the Dwarapalakas make way for Swami to
Yeah,
step out.
here.
This
This
photo
one,
was
no?
clicked. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The photo was clicked. This is the first picture I clicked, thanks to my senior, Mr. G.V. Ravi Shankar, who now lives in New York. He trained me about how to hand. I never held a camera in my life before. So the previous evening, he trained me how to take a picture. This is the first picture I took. And afterwards, I must also confess that photography gave me a wonderful opportunity to go with Swami wherever he went, as I already shared. There were some programs, like I remember when Swami went to inaugurate a primary school in Puttaparthi. Suddenly, warden sent for me saying that, look, there's that time there were no official photographers and there was no audiovisual department also, Prashantali. Suddenly,
Yeah, it was
one,
just.
yeah, so suddenly Warden calls me and said, Swami is inaugurating the primary school in Puttaparthi, go there and take photographs. So it was a wonderful opportunity, to step in where everybody was attending college, but I used to happily roam around behind Swami, attending all his programs, which students never attended. So I would just like to acknowledge and thank Swami for that wonderful opportunity. So if I join all the dots together, photography, today in filmmaking, it's cinematography. The wisdom wall in film language is called production design. Then acting,
Like that.
dance, acting, dance, and all the cultural activities that I was trained with the blessings of Bhagwan were all culminated into an activity called filmmaking that later on became the profession. And most importantly, the role of Yashoda, which Bhagawan gave 10 years later, in the year 1995, when I was when I went back to Hyderabad, uh, there are some things I have to share about my post graduation in Parthi, and also we'll come back to that. But
Sure.
since you asked that question, 1995, Swami appeared in a dream. I was in Hyderabad and I was into the field of advertising and marketing research those days. And I always wanted to do a 9 to 6 job. I had this feeling that, you know, uh, I want my own space so that I don't want to get into entrepreneurship and stuff like that. And after my stint in advertising and marketing research, when I was looking at uh, changing my organization or changing my profession, suddenly Bhagwan comes in a dream vision and says, it was in my old school. Bhagwan was standing there, and there were some children playing. And Swami is holding a plate of sweets in his hand. Swami calls me and says, in the dream, gives the plate of sweets and said, look, those children are playing there, right? Go and give the sweets to them. Then I take the plate from Swami's hand, distribute all the sweets to the children there, and I come back with empty plate, and ask Swami, Swami, what now? Didn't you understand why I gave you the plate? Why I asked you to distribute the sweets to the children? No, Swami, I didn't understand. Hey, remember the role of Yashoda I gave you? You played 10 years back. I didn't give you the role just like that. Now you have to play that role in real life. My God, I had goosebumps even in my sleep. Even I can think of it right now. Swami, what is that playing the role of Yashoda in real life? Yashoda was the foster mother of Krishna. So you have to play the role of a foster mother for those children. So somehow a thrill ran through my spine and I was startled. I woke up and again, immediately I wrote a letter to Bhagwan I was in Hyderabad that time, wrote a letter to Bhagwan. And after 4 or 5 days, again, Bhagwan came in a dream and acknowledged, you didn't understand, when I say foster mother, I meant, your land you have in a place called Tupran. The father has brought that land. No, you're using it for agriculture purposes. Now you're growing trees there. You're nurturing fruits and trees. You have to nurture children there. So crystal clear, when a question is asked, Swami gives an answer. I think now this aspect is more important for us, those of us who have been close to Swami and who miss Swami's physical presence. It's very important to note that we have to develop this heart-to-heart connection to Swami. Even now, to this day, whenever I have a problem, I write a letter to Swami, place it in front of the altar, and Swami gives indications or he comes in a dream and gives answers. Sometimes it may be after 1 month, sometimes it may be after 6 months, sometimes it may be after 1 year also. But he definitely gives indications, he definitely gives answers, he definitely answers our prayers, definitely gives us guidance. So that stage was a very, very important stage where I used to write letters to Swami. Swami used to answer that question through a dream vision. So when Swami very clearly said, look at your farm, you're supposed to nurture children now there. Then I took pictures of that farm and sent it to Bhagwan. As soon as uh, that postage reaches Swami physically in Parthi after 4 or 5 days, again Bhagwan appears in a dream and says, okay, how far have you come? How are you going to gather the finance? How many children are you going to have? See, remember, it has to be a Gurukul, not children coming in the morning and going in the evening. It has to be a residential school. So all these instructions were given. Then I used to run from pillar to post. I prepared a concept paper, how the school should be, contacted senior devotees like General Chibar, uh, Dr. Aksar, former chairman emeritus of ITC, discussing with people, Dr. Professor Sampath, who was the former vice chancellor of.
We'll come to the process. We'll come to the process of your school, because
Okay,
it is very. I want to take it in a proper way so that people will understand how you have, gone through the journey of starting a school. But let me
okay,
finish this part first, because I'm
okay,
I'm just trying to finish off your college time, and to see
Okay.
what all you have done with Bhagwan and how have you seen
Okay.
Swami. Because see, it's a very beautiful thing to watch how he has, especially in your time, when things were
Mhm.
still getting settled in Parthi, systems
Mhm.
were still being given by Bhagwan. He was kind of unfolding it slowly, slowly, if I may
Mhm.
put it like that. So let us put one more item for you, village activity, service activity.
Yeah.
Remember, that also has a very huge role. And I'm sure as we go forward, we will see the glimpse of that in your schools also, how you have implemented that. But learning from your past, uh, do you have any good memories of that service? Because that is also a very important activity of a student in Parthi.
Yeah.
So, do you want to say something about
Bef-
that and any experiences related to that?
yeah. Before the 60th birthday of Bhagwan, as I said, it's a landmark event. Uh, Before the vacation, that is in 1985, February, March, after Shivratri, Swami called all the students to the mandir and said, this summer we are going to take up activities in the village. And all over the India, the Satyasai Trust had adopted almost 600 villages all over India. And in Anantapur district itself, I think, if I'm not mistaken, some 60 villages were chosen for all-round development, for integrated development. And Bhagawan wanted to involve the students. And he said, this summer, you have to sacrifice your vacation. Please write to your parents, tell your parents that you're not going to go for vacation. Or if you go, just visit for two
Come
days and
back
come
early.
back.
Come back early. Yeah.
And I'll also be traveling with you and spending a lot of time with you. And we'll be going to the villages and all that. And during that time, Swami had specifically chosen a group of students for talking, giving spiritual talks, for giving moral talks in these villages to the villagers. So, almost 6 months before itself, the preparation began. We used to have these talks in the hostel, and the warden used to give reports about who spoke in what way and all that. So, finally, when the event came in the month of May, just before the 60th birthday, Swami had selected about 10, 15 of us, Telugu speaking boys. And every day he used to call us for interview and make us speak in front of him. He used to correct us. And while the rest of the students went for the Gram Seva in other villages, Swami was giving us wonderful opportunities to spend a lot of time with him in the interview room, right from spiritual topics to mundane topics. It was I should say, an insightful time, a life changing time because I learned so much from Swami in those 10 days. He used to talk about everything under the sun. I remember two comments about that the Swami made specifically about and whenever we were speaking, Swami would get excited and he would continue this. Even before we complete the sentence, Swami would complete the sentence himself. So it was a real wonderful time. One day he looked at me and said, Aintra, what's going on in your mind? Koredi vankayalu, beram chesedi sorakaya. This is a proverb in Telugu, which means in your heart, you want brinjals, which is supposed to be a luxury vegetables.
Correct.
But
Okay.
you're bargaining with the vegetable vendor, give me for 5 rupees, give me for 10 rupees. You're bargaining as though you're buying a pumpkin or a bitter gourd. So you want something, but your efforts are something else. That's what Bhagawan meant by that proverb. So this lesson that he gave me that day struck a deep chord in my heart and remained with me even till today. Because what Swami was trying to say is, you have a lot of big dreams and big hopes and a lot of things that you want to accomplish, but are you preparing for it? How much you are striving for it? if your thought, word, and action don't integrate into one, you're thinking something, you say something, and you act something else. If there's no integration between that, nothing is going to fructify. So that was a changing point in my life. And in fact, that day he was telling a person, Mr. V.K. Narasimhan, was sitting behind me. I was sitting in front of Swami and pressing his feet. It was Mr. V.K. Narasimhan's wedding anniversary. Swami called him and his wife also that day and made a lot of fun. He cracked jokes at their expense to make us, keep us in good humor. So Swami used to do all sorts of, I mean, you all know it. There's nothing new to tell. So Swami told V.K. Narasimhan, look at this guy. He's hardly 16 years old, but he's got 61. You turn 16 topsy-turvy, it becomes 61. He's got 61 years of experience. Then Mr. V.K. Narasimhan took it seriously and he started peeping into my face. I want to see who's this guy. I don't know. I think what Bhagwan also meant then was there is some past life relationship. As I told you in the beginning, my parents were not ardent devotees of Swami in the strict sense. They were basically religious people. But the way they never wanted me to join in Swami's college. But the way I took to Swami's college and took to Swami so naturally, and the way all this is going on, definitely the 61 which Swami was referring to was some kind of past life relationship, I think. And that was a wonderful time that Bhagwan. Actually, after that, we went to one or two villages.
There was something like, Telugu, that whole learning of Telugu speeches, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is the time when
After
you
that,
had.
after that, actually, we never got an opportunity
Never.
to speak in the public as such. But I think Bhagawan has his own ways. He just wanted to give us an opportunity, and
So it's all
he
excuse.
just,
He uses an excuse
yeah.
to infuse something in each one.
But I remember those days, they were wonderful days. Everybody used to again go for the village seva. We used to come back, and somebody in the lighter vein said we used to get our daily wages. So I used to personally give a mango to everybody.
Every
What
child.
lovely Benishani mangoes. Yeah. So
He would in fact
wonderful
come
days
to
of
the site
Shiksha.
also and give it sometimes. Yes.
Yeah,
See, when you
yeah.
look at Swami, do you like? Let me give you a word for Bhagwan and see how you want to explain that. Discipline.
Mm-hmm.
How would you understand discipline from Bhagwan? Because he was very strict at certain point of time, and sometimes with the humor, things could be, you could escape that. Did you have any experience of that with Bhagwan?
Yeah. In fact, this very good observation about how Swami balanced discipline with love. Swami always gave this example. No, when Yashoda wanted to reprimand Krishna or punish Krishna, she held a butter in one hand, and then she held a stick in the other hand and hid the stick behind her. She welcomed Krishna with the butter and later on
Butter.
punished him with the stick.
Stick.
So, of course, Swami never used the stick in a literal sense, but he very effectively balanced discipline and love, which today I'm also doing it for my students in Abhyasa school. I'd like to share two incidents about this. When the drama practices were going on, my exams got over because of the subjects that I had chosen. My exams got over 3 days earlier than the rest of the class. So that time I had newly got spectacles, and my ophthalmologist told me that you're supposed to visit after 1 year. So it was exactly 1 year, and I was supposed to visit my ophthalmologist in Hyderabad. So since I was there in the participating in the Telugu drama, Bhagawan had given clear instructions. All those who are participating in the drama and the music program should not be going home for the Dasara vacations. But I had to meet my ophthalmologist, and again, Swami created a way. my exams finished in 3 days before the others, before the drama practices could start. So I had time to just quickly go back and come. So I went to the warden and sought permission. Sir, I would like to go home. Then the warden said, nothing doing. Swami has given clear instructions. Nobody should go home, those who are participating in the drama and the music program. So I'm not going to give you permission. Sir, but practices are not started and I'm not even going for darshan in the morning, nor I'm going to college. I can quickly go back and come. No, once Swami says no, it's no, that's it. So I didn't know what to do. I wrote a telegram to Swami because there's no time to write a letter also. I gave a telegram to Swami. Swami, this is the purpose I want to visit. Quickly, within one day, I'll go in the morning, show to the ophthalmologist. Next day, collect the spectacles. That day, I'll board the bus. Third day morning, I'm going to be here. Please give permission. So I was in the hostel room as I was not attending college. There was examinations going on for the others. Suddenly at 12 o'clock, warden calls me to the room and says, sir, Swami has given you permission. You can go. Oh my God. I was so thrilled. So imagine when Bhagwan himself makes a rule, he understands the need of a person, and the love and the discipline is very well established. I must also share, I'm not
we
comparing.
humans, yeah, we humans get attached to the letter sometimes, in the enthusiasm to practice discipline. We we catch hold of the letter of the law, but not the spirit of
Not
the
the
law,
spirit.
why we are doing it. So Bhagwan, he had beautifully managed it. He neither
Yeah.
broke the discipline and he kept the spirit alive. So good.
And
So
incidentally,
second
I
one, what was?
kept no, I kept my word, and on the third morning I returned. Those days the Hyderabad bus used to stop right in front of the hostel gate, and we
Hostel.
used to get down. As I was getting down, one of our senior students, who was a lecturer now, still in Vrindavan, he said, "Hey, good you have come. Yesterday there was your reference in the interview room. Quickly go, have your bath, come to the. That day was the first day of
Show your
Navratri.
face and show your
First day
face.
of Navratri, show your face to Swami." So I didn't understand why. I quickly went, and he said, show your face to Swami. So how do I show my face to Swami? I went to Dr. Shivshankar Sai, sir, put me in the Vedam group. Today, the Yajna is going to begin. And anyway, some students are going to stand there. It's important. I don't know why I have to show my face to Swami. Please put me there. So Shivshankar Sai put me in the Vedam group, and I was sitting on the stage and sitting in the front and showed my face to Swami. Swami gave a very broad smile. And after the program, after the Veda Purusha inauguration, Yajna inauguration, I asked the senior student, why did you ask me to go? Yesterday, one of the students wanted to go home. Again, this boy is a school boy. He's also in the Telugu drama, and he's a son of a very uh, famous playback singer. I think you can all understand who it is I'm referring to. And she wanted to take her son home for 2-3 days, and Swami didn't permit her. Then the warden said, Swami, you gave permission to one student, and that is why all the other students are also coming and asking. Then immediately Swami shot back and said, Vinayak has just gone to Hyderabad. He'll be coming back tomorrow itself. But this boy, if he goes, I know both the mother and the child, they will not come back for 10 days. That's why I don't want them to go. I'm not giving permission. So that was a confidence Swami reposed, and that's why this elder brother told me, go and show your face to Swami. So this is the way Swami balances love and discipline. I remember another incident. One day we were coming back from college. We didn't have the last period just before lunch. Uh, that lecturer was not there or something. Actually, in spirit, we are supposed to go and sit in the library. So we went and sat in the library. 10 more minutes was left for the periods to get over. Anyway, we are going for lunch. I thought nothing is there. I read everything in the library. Come on, let me go to the hostel. So some of us, almost 10-15 of us, got onto the road. We were going back to the hostel. Suddenly, he saw Swami's car coming from the Vidyagiri arch from near the primary school. Everybody were so shell shocked. They didn't know what to do. Everybody ran helter skelter. Somebody ran towards the Hillview Stadium to get behind the school. Somebody ran back into the library, and I didn't know what to do. But that message which Swami gave me during that in the interview room, when he said, "Kori devankayalu beram chese," never have a manipulative. Don't think something and do something. Trikanashuddhi, what Swami talks about. So that moment, I froze where I was. I said, I'm not going to run. How can I run from the God who's omnipresent? Not that I'm finding fault with others who ran, but this was a personal message to me. Okay. And I have a lot of incidents related to this. It goes on as a loop in the later years of life. I'm going to share it. Uh, so I said, I'm not going to do this to Bhagwan. I just stuck where I am, and Swami's car by then was passing, and I did namaskar. So Swami looked, and first he looked at me seriously like this. What are you doing in the road at this point of the time? And then immediately he broke into a smile and gave his abhaya hasta. Oh my God, I was
Vinayak, I would say that
relieved.
was a rare occasion
Oh,
because
yeah.
things could have turned anyway. Things could
Somebody,
have turned anyways.
yeah, later on when I told my roommate, somebody made fun of me. I think Swami didn't recognize you. That's why he thought you were some devotee and gave namaskar. I mean, this is in the lighter vein, my friend, my
Yeah.
roommate was telling. And believe
But yeah,
me,
that is
till
his
evening,
divinity. That is his divinity. He responds to that movement and the emotions and whatever feelings we have at that right moment. So there is nothing like baggage for him. He doesn't carry anything. Let me,
yeah.
Vinayak, take you to another discussion. Believe in your master's time, you had an
Mhm.
opportunity to go abroad,
Yeah.
which something happened and you didn't go, and that turned out to be how the life turned to be later on. So if you can quickly mention that too.
I must mention that in 1985, my elder brother, who did his engineering in Hyderabad, got a seat in the Texas A&M University and went abroad to study his master's uh, at Houston. Sorry, at Dallas. Then uh, that after he left, after he went abroad, he started sending me prospectus of various colleges there, saying that you can also come here and do your MBA after your graduation. And he started sending me all the best colleges and universities, and you can apply to this, and somewhere you'll get a seat and all that. And as after that incident with Bhagwan, I have decided that everything I'll ask Bhagwan, I'll share with Bhagwan. I will not take a single step without taking his permission or asking. Again, I wrote to Bhagwan, and that day our class students were supposed to go and sit in the front rows of the mandir. So, sensing that was the time I would get an opportunity, and I wrote a letter to Bhagwan. So that evening, after the interviews, Swami spoke for almost 45 minutes to 1 hour between the interviews and the bhajan time. It's all about why our students should not go and study abroad. Huh? And, what is, and that too, the next year, Swami was starting this MBA program. That is the first time I heard Swami mentioning next year we're going to start MBA. Why should you have to go abroad and study MBA? What is wrong with our universities? And that too, when you have the best of the universities in the avatars prisons, where is the need for you to go out? And he even made fun of me, saying that, oh, you want to take all your black money and go abroad and marry a white woman there? And then he said, see, the best thing you should be doing is Mrs. Jamuna Garu, the famous actress. She had become Swami's devotee that year itself. She happened to be there during that time, the ladies' side. See, Jamuna is sitting there. You're also from Hyderabad. She's also from Hyderabad. Best thing, after your studies, you go and learn dance from her. She'll teach you dance. So, like this, Swami made lighter references, and but whatever it is, every statement that Bhagwan makes has an inner meaning. Later on, it so happened that Mrs. Jamuna Garu happened to be our governing body member of Abhyasa. So Swami had made the connection then and there itself. And not only that, in the subsequent year, she had directed a play, Krishna Leelalu, in which our brother S. Kumar had played the role of Yashoda, and Mr. Janakramaya Garu's grandson played the role of Krishna. So that time also I had a chance to interact with her, because during the Vice Chancellor's conference, Bhagawan staged this opera in front of the Vice Chancellors. So S. Kumar was playing the role of Yashoda, told me, "Hey Vinayak, I'm new to all this, because Mrs. Jamuna, I don't know her well. Why don't you come and help me for the makeup and all that? If someone known is there, I won't feel out of place." So I said, "Yeah, I'll come, no problem." And I went there. And to my surprise, as soon as we started doing the makeup, Bhagawan was there. Bhagawan came and spent 1.5 hours just exclusively with these characters. There are hardly 5, 6 characters there, touching up himself, the makeup, and giving instructions to Jamuna Garu, giving instructions to the makeup men, so on and so forth. That was another, I should say, lessons in management, how Bhagavan goes into the minutest details. And in the middle of that session, when the makeup session was going on, one of the makeup men said, "Sir, I just need some water. I don't know where to go. Can you?" He gave me a small cup and said, "Please get me some water." So I quickly ran into the bathroom and filled it up with water from the basin. The moment I turned, I was shocked. Swami was standing right beside me. And I never expected Swami to come behind me. Then he asked, "How are the bathrooms? Are they clean?" He asked. I said, "Yes, Swami, they're all clean. They're just like your face, stupid fellow. This is the way the bathrooms are supposed to be maintained. The vice chancellors are coming for the conference, and call the director, call the registrar. This is not the way. Where is the mirror? There is no towel. There is no soap here if somebody wants to use." See, the micromanagement which Bhagawan does, I think even the best of the administrators, he doesn't strike. And I'm sure each one of us has learned so many things from Bhagavan, which is
It's an
help.
eye-opener for people to understand that Swami would walk into a toilet to inspect if it is prepared well, if it is cleaned well, and it is befitting the occasion and the people going to use it. So look
Yeah,
at the minuteness with which Bhagwan used to live and guide.
yeah,
You're blessed to have that opportunity to experience that. Let me show you some pictures, and maybe that will
yeah,
trigger some thoughts on you. So,
yeah,
what is this
yeah.
picture?
This was during our MCOM time, the post graduation. So after that incident in the veranda, I had made up my mind that I'm not going abroad, and I'll continue after graduation into post graduation. Then I joined the MCOM and continued. And Bhagwan, those days, the MBA program also started. He used to give a lot of uh, opportunities for the MBA students.
Oh,
And
lots.
once we asked, in fact, I had also written a personal letter to Bhagwan. "Swami, the course for the MBA and the MCON, the chapters are almost same. You're giving such
Same.
wonderful chances to them. In fact, you're taking classes to them for them also. Why don't we also join the classes?" So Bhagavan was so gracious. Even the first MCOM and second MCOM students were accommodated in the lessons that Bhagavans used to take for the MBA students. And this was one of those trips that we had. Uh, this is the new college bus that Swami acquired. And he used to take us in this bus for some village. Swami one day went for a inauguration of a temple somewhere in one of the nearby
This is
villages.
Professor Saigal here.
Yes, Professor Saigal.
Professor Saigal
The
is
first
here.
year MBA students and the first and second year MCOM students. I'm sitting there
Okay.
behind Jagdish Chawla.
Oh,
So
here, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Swami does.
Swami is creating
Swami,
something. I believe there is something he's
Swami
creating
created a
something.
ring. Yeah, Swami had previously created a ring for Professor Saigal. He said, "How is your ring? Is it protecting you?" Swami asked, and he took the ring, and it was a diamond color. Sorry, diamond ring. That is a white colored ring. Swami took that ring. He blew over the ring and changed it into green color. Just blew over it 3 times and changed it into, and again gave it to Dr. Saigal. So Swami, it used to be fun going with Swami. Then suddenly in the middle of the road, Swami stopped the bus. We had a group photograph along with Swami. So wonderful memories. In all this, there were lots of lessons to learn. This is our graduation class, BCom. The then Vice
That
Chancellor,
is our
Saraf,
present chancellor, Mr.
present
Chakravarti.
Chancellor, Dr. Mr.
He was a
Chakravarti Garu.
registrar at that time.
He was the registrar at that time, yes.
Yeah,
Professor
and he's
Nanjundaya,
our
the controller of it.
he's a vice chancellor,
Professor
Mr.
Saraf,
Saraf,
yes.
and
Dr.
Mr.
Mahajan,
Mahajan,
the
beautiful
director of the
person,
campus.
very director of the campus, and controller of examination, Sri
Professor
Nanjundaji.
Nanjundaya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here is your group.
Yes, the BCom group.
Yeah.
And by the time we came to MCom, we were just 9 of us from the 20 students that were there in BCom. We were just 9 of us. And the vice chancellor used to call us the 9 gems of the campus. So once we were
And
going to an industrial
actually,
group.
few of your classmates are on the show right now. Anil Mehta,
Oh,
he
is
has
it?
joined us from Australia. He's watching right
Hello,
now. He's
Anil.
messaged. He
Okay,
messaged right now. Hmm.
okay.
That's so sweet. It's good to have these memories. And here is your. I
Nine
think this is
gems.
masters. Yeah, here is
Yeah,
your
these
nine
are
gems.
masters. Yeah. Dr. Kumar Bhaskar, who was also
Kumar
my
Bhaskar is here.
dissertation guide.
He was
Dr. Kumar
our
Bhaskar.
professor. Yeah, and he was our dean that time,
My
right? He was your.
Yeah, he was my dissertation guide. I did a
Okay.
dissertation in organization behavior. So he used to teach us organization behavior and a guide for
And
in that also.
He's Mr. Radhaswamy.
Yeah, Professor
He was
Radha
the
Swami, who
he was the authority on law and mercantile
accountancy.
accountancy. We used to
Yeah,
read his
he,
books.
he
He
had
was a
written many
pillow for us.
textbooks. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think every commerce student will know Professor Radha Swami.
and
Then we
Shipande.
have in between the both Professor Murli, who later on became the vice chancellor of Venkateshwara University. With Swami's
Uh-huh.
blessings, he got a very high post. Then Mr. Shiv Pandit,
Shiv
Dr.
Pandit.
Shiv Pandit, he
He's
did his
still there.
PhD in
He's
Bhagwan's. Yeah,
continuing to serve Bhagwan's. Beautiful.
yeah.
It's lovely
I
to have
remember
such
Dr.
people,
This is my childhood picture with my parents.
with your parents, how you were.
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent.
Dr. Shiv
Okay.
Pandit, I remember in one of our classes in post graduation, he gave me a project, Film Director's Approach to Creativity. So I think the seeds were sown then in there itself. And I don't know how Mr. Shiv Pandit recognized my interest in the filmmaking and all that. So when I saw,
You have Yachendra here, you have Hirok here, you have Srinivas Rao. They're all saying Sairam to you, and they're all getting nostalgic listening to the stories.
oh, Sairam Hirokji, my seniors, my mentors, yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
Srinivas
think
Sairam,
it is really beautiful to really go back into these memories and remember how
yeah,
Bhagwan has influenced each one into this whole process.
yeah,
And as what I get more inspired from your story is that uh, many people have this think that physical proximity was the key for Bhagwan. But here is that even if you have, more important was, like Swami would say, nearness is good, but dearness is better. And the way you have been communicating with Bhagwan through letters, through telegrams, let me tell the devotees that in those days,
dreams.
Sending telegram to Swami was also one of the many ways we used to connect with him. So imagine from outside we sent a telegram to the mandir inside because we could expect a quicker response. So I guess there are so many beautiful ways. So Brother Vinayak, let us come back to your this one, your school now. Prabhas, because
Yes.
that's how it got, I would say, your life culmination. So how did the seed of Prabhas came to you? Like, how did you think that that's the way, that's where you're heading to?
Yeah. Just before that, I would like to share one episode about my leaving Parthi. I
Okay.
had something else to tell about how I went for an industrial tour, how Swami materialized visiting cards for all of us. And actually, there were 28 of our students, totally 30 students, but two of us were not present on that day. But when Swami waved his hand, exactly 28 visiting cards came out. And then he said, "See, look, uh, you said 30, but this hand never goes wrong." It created
Aha,
exactly 28 students because two
that's
students
so
were
beautiful.
absent. And then Swami, see, again, we were talking about the discipline and love. Swami gave uh, clear instructions when you visit the factories, when you visit the offices, don't smile unnecessarily. There'll be ladies there. There'll be things that you're making fun of them. You know, just like, a mother sending her daughter to her in-laws place, just like in a traditional Indian household, they give instructions how to behave. Like such a sweet mother, Swami was giving us instructions. And then, though he said, don't roam around here and there, don't unnecessarily be found in odd places, but yet again he waved his hand and created exactly the number of notes. As there were number of students there, he gave us 100 rupees each. And in those days, I think 100 rupees equivalent to 1,000 rupees today. And he said, spend it on for yourself. Don't spend it on unnecessary things. Try to get something for your parents, something for yourself which is dear to you. But I still preserve that note which Swami gave in my puja.
So sweet. So
So,
sweet.
well, these are again wonderful memories. And finally, when the time came for the when the post graduation course got over, it's a practice in Parthi that after your course is over, you wait in the old hostel in the mandir, and Swami comes back from Vrindavan in the month of June. And invariably, those days, every year, Swami used to ignore the students just to filter out those who would stay and those who would get fed up and go back. So all the students would come back in June after Swami came to Parthi, stay in the old hostel, attend darshan morning and evening, and they used to be called, there was a term waiting boys, they were called. And during that period, I was there in Parthi in 1988 June, and my dad had given me clear instructions that I should come back because my brother had gone abroad, and I have a younger brother who that time was hardly 6 or 7 years old. Sorry, maybe he was 10 years old that time. He was going to school still. So he said, "I need somebody to for emotional support. I'm feeling very lonely. You need to come back." And when I went there to take leave of Swami, Swami was ignoring the students. He was not talking. He was not even looking towards the students' side. So one day again, I wrote a letter to Swami saying that, "Look, Swami, my situation is not like the others." Very forthright, open. I'm not like, I don't hail from a devotee's family. I'm not going to wait here, and my parents are not going to permit me to stay here waiting for your signal as long. I have come here to take your blessings. Please bless me. I would like to leave this place with your blessings in a beautiful way. To my utter surprise, Bhagawan was ignoring the students. That day, after darshan, he circled around the men's side. And I was sitting in the place for the audience to understand where exactly the present Samadhi is there. The arch used to be there, the Ganesha arch.
The
I was
Ganesha
sitting
art.
right, Yeah.
Okay.
There was a circle round there, the Sarvadharma circle
Correct.
round there.
The
And when you
lotus
sit
circle.
on, yeah, when you sit on the higher platform, there's a narrow path which Swami has to pass through.
Pass through.
And we feel that Swami can't miss us there if we sit there. So we had all sorts of these manipulations going on with Swami, all in fair, all is fair in love.
Yes, yes.
Uh, so I was sitting in that particular spot, and as usual, Swami was very serious, looking down, not looking towards the boy's head at all. And as soon as he was crossing me, suddenly he looked towards me and said, "Ha, Padanamaskaram cheskoni intiki vellu." I was shocked because
Take
I didn't
Padnamaskar and
expect.
leave home. Leave for home.
Yeah, sorry, I take Padanamaskara and go home.
Go home.
I didn't expect this because I never seen Swami do this to anybody. And he responded so positively when I told, "Look, my parents are not going to understand me your ways and make me sit here till you know, melt and look at the students." I mean, he could have sent Kutumbara or sent the warden and say, "Kick this fellow out of the mandir." He could have done that. But look at Swami again, the thousand mothers love. He just comes and says, "Take namaskar and go." Because I was not able to, I was petrified. I don't know what Swami was, whether it's true or it's a dream. So Swami repeated it thrice. I'm telling you, take namaskar and go. So third time when Swami said that, I got down to the sands, bowed down, kissed his feet, went low, placed my head on his feet. But I was not satisfied. I thought Swami had been so sweet. I don't deserve that. I really don't deserve that. Then again, I wrote a letter to Swami. Swami, I'm sorry. Did I upset you? Uh, you were saying that words little seriously. Uh, Swami, please understand. And then next day, again, I sat with my dissertation thesis to get Swami's blessings. Swami again graciously came. He took the dissertation in his hand. He went through the pages. What is the topic? He asked about it. Then he asked, "Who is this guide, Dr. Kumar Bhaskar?" "Who's Kumar Bhaskar?" he asked. And he went through the pages. And when he signed on the dissertation thesis and then went ahead for darshan. So I was satisfied. Okay, Swami is cool and Swami is sweet. He's not unhappy with me. And then I was wanting prasadam to Swami. I continued to stay there for one more week so that I uh, you know have that pleasant stay and good memories before I leave. And finally, one day after darshan, the then registrar Chakravarti Garu and Sri Nanjundaya Garu, controller of examination, called me outside the mandir after bhajan and said, "We just learned that one's lecturer, he's not returning after vacations. There's a vacancy for a lecturer's post. Are you willing to take up that post?"
So you're offered
Now,
a job too.
yeah, this came as a thunderbolt to me because I didn't know what to do. I was Swami testing me. And I don't know if I mentioned uh, Abhimanyu, when I gave the letter to Swami in 1980, requesting Swami to give me a seat in his college, I wrote there, "I want to dedicate my life to you. I want to serve your mission for the rest of my life." And here, keeping in mind my father's request and wishes, I was leaving Parthi. And here, Swami is again testing me by offering me a lecturer's post. And I told, "Sir, but I've already taken Swami's Padanamaskar and I told Swami that I would be leaving. Swami permitted me to go." No, then the registrar sir just said, "No, we are just saying that if you could leave, it's okay. If you want to leave, you leave. Go and support your father. Swami will always be with you. Wish you all the best." And so this was the most testing time of my life, I should say, when I was leaving Parthi. And now when I look back, and mind you, there was a slight guilt also. When I joined
Obviously.
there, I said I
It's
would serve.
natural.
But
Natural.
remember that prayer that I was made. Even if I make a mistake, you don't make me make a mistake. So that is when the dream which I related in 1995, Swami said, you are going to be a foster mother for children, start a residential school, start a Gurukul. So even though I didn't accept the lecturer's post, Swami gave this responsibility, Swami gave this mission to be fulfilled. He will never let us go astray.
I believe you had a dream in which Swami had told you about the school.
Yeah, plenty. Because I was running
No,
from pillar to post.
starting point.
Yeah, I just narrated that, where
No,
Swami said the role of Yashoda you're supposed to play in
no,
real
not that.
life.
I was look because remember I heard that you had this dream of how many children would join the
I'm
school.
coming to that. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
coming to
yeah.
that.
Hmm.
There were two important, not just two, there were plenty, but I'm going to relate two important dream and vision instructions that Swami had given. And I was running from pillar to post, trying to secure finances. And the bank people said that we don't offer loans to educational institutions because the gestation period for the turnover is almost 10 to 15 years. And as per the law of India, educational institutions are supposed to be non-profit organizations wherein uh, it has to be a trust or a society. It can't be a company or a partnership running a school. So unless it's a profit-making organization, why will any financial institution lend their
Fund you.
money to
Yeah,
them?
correct.
So I just didn't know how I'm going to start. Then I went and toying with an idea whether I'm going to conduct some charity shows. I went and requested some senior devotees, sir, can I get MS Subbulakshmi Garu? Can I get Pandit Ravi Shankar ji to stage a program in Hyderabad? He said, stupid fellow, if they have to stage a program for you in Hyderabad, they'll charge lakhs of rupees. I remember paying, we used to see such exalted people performing in front of Swami. We are so fortunate about that. But if you have to request them in Hyderabad, they're not going to do it free for you. And don't think of, and half the money that you raise will go paying them only. Forget all those ideas. Then I again wrote to my brother in US saying that, okay, can I come abroad and can I gather NRI funds? I even went to Chennai, got a visa. As I was making plans to go abroad, out of the blue, Swami comes in a dream. That was the most electrifying dream that I had. Early in the morning at 4 o'clock. It's in Parthi veranda, Mandir veranda. Swami straight looks into my eyes in the dream and says, you think we are beggars? Going here and there asking for money? You're not going anywhere. The money is there with us here itself. I got up with a start. Now, how am I going to tell my brother, look, I'm not coming? I got my visa also. And Swami says, the money is here. This was a real catch 22 situation. I didn't know just what to do. And again, I was praying to Swami, writing to Swami, please help me. No indications. 10 days over, 15 days over, 20 days over. Suddenly, one fine day, my dad calls me and says, here, I've been watching you for almost 6 months. I thought it was just a fancy idea that you got, and you're not serious about it. You're running from pillar to post, wanting to start a school. But now I see that you're quite serious about it. How about the land in Tupran, where there's a mango orchard, and he used to personally involve himself cultivating some paddy and sugarcane, leading a retired life, growing different crops there. I can convert those crop area into a school, and he's been a contractor himself throughout his life, which he retired again. So he said, I can construct a building for you and give it to you, provided all the investment that I do you're going to pay rent to the family so that we have that will be a bread and butter, because I'm going to sell all my shares which I've invested in some blue chip companies. I would like to also point out that this was in 1995, when India had just seen her economic reforms under two stalwarts, Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao and
Even
Manmohan
Narasimha Rao,
Singh.
yes. Hmm.
After the liberalization, the stock prices were just zooming. And my dad, 10 years back, 10 years back before that, had invested in some blue chip companies for 100 rupees or 10 rupees. The face value of it was now soaring. And then he realized, somebody advised him, if you don't sell these shares, one day the market is going to crash. So make hay while sun shines. We look at where is Manmohan Singh, P.V. Narasimha Rao, Abhyasa, and Swami coming in my dream and saying, money is here. And I don't know where the money was. My parents brought us up very down to earth. I didn't know anything about the investment that he had done in the shares. So he comes and says, I've decided that I will sell the shares so I can invest myself, provided whatever the bank interest we would have got if we had put in a fixed deposit, that much rent you have to pay to the family, so that will be our survival, bread and butter. So, I mean, the rest is history. I need not uh, expand on what. So, imagine I had no idea about it, and Bhagwan. That's why Swami always says, when I come and give you instructions in a dream, it is true. Follow my instructions. And from that day to this day, I've been sincerely following his instructions, and he has never let me down in any of the single things. And then the father started the construction of the building, and so much huge amounts were invested, and the admission scenario was looking little bleak. Then again, he was asking me, you think seriously that the students are going to join your institute in the very first year? And what happens to all this money that I'm investing? You're going to lead the family to the streets or what? So I was facing his wrath from on one side. And then again, I started writing to Bhagawan, Swami, please do something about the admissions. It's been very on the weak wicket. Then Swami coolly comes in a dream again and says, don't worry about admissions and students and all that. He told in Telugu, Oka 36 ostarle. So in the dream, I understood as Oka in Telugu, in English stands
One.
for one. 136, this is what he uttered. Half in Telugu, half in English. So I went and told my dad, Swami came in my dream and said 136 students are going to come. You don't have to worry about it. I don't know how you and your mother get dreams. I never get any dreams. And is this all true? As I told you, my dad is a religious. He regards Swami, but not in the usual grind of. So, you don't worry. It will all be taken care of. And when the date of reopening came, trust me, Abhimanyu, there were 36 students, just 36 students. And of course, by then, my father was start being kind
Yeah,
to
that
me. He said, okay, let's face it.
Oka is a very Telugu, is a very colloquial way of saying the first lot
See, if
36
he
boys will
had
come.
told me that time 36, it would have given me a shock. Or maybe the
Your
building
dad must
construction
have,
would have
your dad would have paused.
stopped. Yeah, one floor, ground floor, or first floor, stop it, pause it.
See, your challenge, which
So,
I understand, was that you wanted to start the school from everything ready, from the beginning, get go. You wanted to give everything to the students. You didn't allow the gradual growth of the school. And that is why your planning and your struggle was, I would say, much bigger. So the money requirement, your land requirement, everything was big. So today you have a big school, and it's called Abhyasa. But just a quick curious question, Vinayak, because when we
mhm,
attach something from values education perspective, let me ask
mhm,
you this from that perspective, one of the major thing is that people will look at it and say, why are you charging a fees?
Mhm,
What is the logic of that? And how do you
mhm.
justify to people that what you are doing based on Bhagwan's philosophy and your model has this? So how do you give back to the society?
Yeah, there are two aspects of, uh, two aspects, two sides of the coin to answer your question. Point number one, yes, I had to draw a lot of flack from people in the organization also in Hyderabad. Swami gives free education, and you're going to charge money from the students, and you're supposed to be a Swami student. So I had words to debate saying that, look, people are starting a wine shop in Swami's name, Satyasai Wines. After all, I'm starting a school. Everybody is starting some factory, some business. After all, I'm starting a school. He said, no, you can't do that. You can't charge students. But then Swami was my only savior, my guide, friend, philosopher during these times. Whatever I did, how much ever I charged, how much ever I spent, everything was being written, an account was being sent to Bhagwan. And Swami was silently and through dreams acknowledging everything. When I took my first prospectus to Swami, you won't believe this, Abhimanyu. This was after 1993 when students were asked to sit outside the mandir. We were no longer allowed to sit in the portico. We were sitting near the garage.
Session.
And this was a time when the college was in session. So luckily, I could get a special permission from Dr. Sudhir Bhaskar, who was in charge of the portico during those days. Of course, that won't happen without Swami's permission himself. I was allowed to sit where the birthday boys normally sit, right in front of the interview room. Swami came after the interviews, and I was holding the prospectus in my hands. Swami looked at it. He put his hand on that and said, I know, I have seen it. And then he stood in front of me. Dr. Shivaram Krishnaya, who was then the principal of the, uh, is he still the principal?
Yeah, yeah,
Of
he's
the
still
higher secondary
of the
school.
higher secondary school. Yeah.
Swami asked him, Aim Shivaram Krishnaya, Aim Samacharam. And he spoke to him for 1 hour. Because those days, again, the bhajan used to be at 11 o'clock. Interviews got over by 10 o'clock. 10 to 11 o'clock, Swami was standing there in front of me and telling Dr. Shivaram Krishnaya how to run a school, whereas Dr. Shivaram Krishnaya was already running the school. Every aspect, right from the hostel, right from how to take care of the sick students, what food to be served. And he told Shivaram Krishnaya, can you imagine? Don't give eggs, okay? But see, why will he have to tell Shivaram Krishnaya not to serve eggs in the hostel?
We
And
don't
then
have
he
eggs.
chuckled, he himself smiled and said, it's okay. Children at the growing age sometimes need nourishments. If they're sick, you can give them eggs. So my heart missed a beat because I already published in the prospectus saying eggs might be served thrice a week, depending on the student's needs. So now if I say no, but again, Bhagwan himself gave the answer. So, like as we just thought about Bhagwan, there's no hard and fast rule about Bhagwan. You know, he's 1,000 mothers. He can take 1,000 forms for each and tailor made for each and every of his devotee.
But
So,
you have I would like you to highlight that part that you have a separate section in your school compound itself, which
mhm.
which does the free part. So
Yeah,
can you
I'm
explain
coming
that?
to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So after 10 years of running Abhyasa, slowly we were making some surplus amounts, almost 15 years, not even 10 years. So after 15 years, we were getting some surplus funds. And every year, even the rents that the family was drawing, actually for 10 years, we had to spend constructing one building after the other. Totally, today there are almost about 9 to 10 buildings on the campus, all three-storied buildings for the academics, for the labs, for the hostels, for the dining hall, for the girls' hostel, the primary school hostel, for the extracurricular activities, the sports building, and finally, a free school for the underprivileged children. So the government, again, the law says that you're not supposed to earn profits, but you can have 10% surplus, which you can plow back to the school. So this was during the year of Mahasamadhi. We started a free school for the underprivileged children of Tupran. We started from grade 1, and the regular students of the school themselves were involved in going to the village, because they regularly go there for Gram Seva, and they pick up the most underprivileged children, sometimes orphans, they don't have their parents, or they lost one of the parents, or the parents are very poor that they cannot afford their studies. So such children were picked up, and we started this free school for the underprivileged children. So the surplus amount of the regular school is cross-subsidized for these children. And today, for the 400 regular residential students that we have 200 such children who are cross-subsidized from their fee.
And do they live in the same compound?
Yeah, no, they go back to their parents.
Oh,
They
okay.
are
So
day boarders.
these are day boarders. They are all day scholars.
Day boarders.
And
Day
but the
scholars.
school is in the same campus.
School is the same campus. They get their morning brunch, then they get their afternoon lunch, they get their evening snacks, milk and snacks, and
Oh, they
they
get
get,
all of that in this same place, school
yes,
itself?
yes, yeah.
And they use the facilities. Are they have different labs for
Yes.
them, or they have same?
No, the same facility, the same library, the same. And one of the interesting things is the regular students, the residential students, also go and teach them in their free time. Somebody can opt out of games, adopt some children who are little slow learners or have some
Yeah.
learning
In the West, we
difficulties.
have the big brother and big sister concept, which we
Yeah,
do that as a shadow program for children to help. Okay. So let
yeah,
me take people through the some slides of your school, and that would give them
okay,
some kind of an idea. And you can please
okay,
talk about it. So this is your
yeah,
logo, I believe.
yes,
Abhyasa,
Abhyasa,
perfection
which
through
means
practice.
practice. Yeah,
Hmm,
it is derived from Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Abhyasa yogena tato mamicchaptam dhananjaya.
correct.
So through Abhyasa, you can attain perfection.
Attain perfection.
This is the 36 students of the first batch, and the building as it existed in the very first year in the preliminary stages.
When you started, how many classes did you start at the same time?
Yeah, we had to start from grade 1 to grade 7, and some of the classes had just 1, 2 students or 2 students.
Oh my
The
God.
highest
Okay.
class, 7th grade, had about 10 students.
Oh,
Yeah,
so you had to really you had to cover up the whole
yeah.
staffing even for one
But
child.
trust,
Okay.
but trust me, Abhimanyu, in the very first year, the amount of fees that we got and the expenditure absolutely matched even in the first year. Of course, there
So
was
nice.
some amount that we had to put from our pocket, but everything was taken care by Bhagwan. That
So this is your
the
present
blessing.
entrance. This is your present
Yeah,
entrance.
this is the entrance which leads
Wow,
us into the campus.
it looks very grand.
Yeah, this is the building which you saw in the first picture. This is
Yeah,
the same building. It has lots of trees now. Uh, in the first year, we had classes in the ground floor and the girls' hostel in the second floor and the boys' hostel in the first floor. They were all little boys, so we managed in one building. But now the same building, we have it's a boys' hostel now with a prayer hall. And this is the grounds, uh, almost 4 or 5 acres of land with a 200 meters running track. Morning
beautiful.
and evening, the
It
students have
actually gives me a
games.
resemblance to our Parthi Stadium. When in
Hill
80s
Stadium.
when it looked like that in 80s, right? With the
Yeah, yeah,
ranks when it
yeah.
was not as a stadium look, it had only
With
barren
the
ground.
tandems, with this, yeah. This is the morning assembly with the newspaper in education program. Every student gets a new personal newspaper which to refer to morning assembly.
Okay, great.
And this picture sort of symbolizes the education system of Abhyasa, integration of the head and the heart. So there's one student who's making an atomic model, and there is another, his sister, is depicting the same model through an abhinaya, a dance pose. So the integration of art and science, or head and the heart.
I wish everybody would understand the intricacies of our dances. So our dance is
Oh
not
yeah,
just jumping around. It has all the
oh yeah,
intricate, so beautiful, subtle messages. So here you are
yeah,
showing an atomic structure through a dance
yeah,
mudra. Beautiful.
yeah. And a dancer giving a commentary on that. Okay, so this is hands-on experience. Every lesson in every class and every subject is taught through an activity. It's not
Okay.
through rote learning. Even this is a mathematics lab. Even the complex formulas of algebra are taught through manipulators. Even if you have to say a square plus b square is equal to, you understand why a square plus b square is equal to whatever it is. I'm very bad in maths. So you learn all that through the manipulators. And then what you see, what you do, remains in your mind forever. So this is a geography class on Worcester harvesting. This is a civics class on the Indian Parliament role play method
Do you
of
know,
learning.
internationally, mock parliaments are becoming very popular for
Yeah,
inter-campus competitions also. They want to
yeah,
create that image, how a child should.
yeah.
Hmm.
Going to the garden, the farm that's there as a part of the campus to learn botany. This is the library doing secondary research. And then there's a astronomy club. Every class gets to observe the night sky and they make their entries. This is immersive learning, getting into the map of the world, learning the geographical regions, landforms, and different climatic conditions all over the world.
Beautiful.
Playway method. And this is the hostel life, the cafeteria, morning milk break. The students have a egg and a banana and a milk. This is the dining hall. We have a separate section for the boys and separate section for girls. And then we also have the senior students taking care of the juniors, especially the new ones till they settle down. Here is a senior 12th grade student feeding a 4th class students. And life in a hostel is like a large family, collective living,
So you have a
learning
dormitory
to,
system there also. Eh? You have a dorm system there.
yeah, yeah, taking from a Parthi system. Classes under the classroom, sorry, classes under the trees, close to the nature, like Shanti Niketan or Rishi Valley. Uh,
How big is your campus completely?
it's about 25 acres,
Wow.
and the
Okay.
farm area is about 10 acres, and the grounds and the buildings put together, it's about 15 acres. So we have like our Thursday personality classes. People from different walks of life visit and share. This is a dance class. We have a huge banyan tree there. It's almost occupying half an acre. A lot of
Wow.
activities are conducted. Yeah, it's spread over half
Wow.
an acre, and this is every festival is celebrated with their cultural details and the customary details, including Christmas, including this is the banyan tree, children playing on the banyan tree, including for Ramzan, we go to the mosque. And this is a student club. A student is measuring the, you know, the the water level and the water content in the milk, which the milk supplier
Oh, really?
provides. So
Okay.
students are given charge to manage all aspects of the hostel. The student doesn't come and complain to me, sir, the milk is very watery. No, you take care that the milk is not watery. In fact, I will question you if the milk is watery. So this is giving the responsibility to the students to manage every aspect.
Hmm.
What we learned in Parthi. These are traditional games traditional Indian games. We have identified 60 traditional games which we teach to the students. This is a temple which is a part of the campus. Every student, there's also Vedic chanting, and every festival is celebrated in the religious fervor. We also take students to the mosque during Ramzan. This is an amphitheater for all the cultural activities. Background, we have an indoor shuttle stadium and a stage for open air, a swimming pool, and campfire at the weekend. And
It looks a lot of fun, man.
yeah, this is a campus radio. We have interviews of students on their birthdays, and some students coming and singing songs. And also, Farmaish songs are played as per the request of students. And coming to the most important thing, the value education. Here is an activity where students perform Pada Puja to their parents. And in fact, the parents feel so embarrassed when their own children perform Pada Puja to them. So this is where the society is heading. This is an important activity. We insist that whenever parents come to visit their children on the campus also, children touch the feet of the parents.
This kind of activity is also done in Indonesia and
Oh,
also in Trinidad. So it's
okay.
beautiful that I'm blessed to see them both in both different parts of the world, and
Oh,
it's very well accepted. So Indonesia, Malaysia, Trinidad,
okay.
they have this.
And this is called the circle time, where especially the senior students who go through emotional upheavals or they consider what is good
Yeah,
or bad. So we have a circle time where there's no teacher in the talk. Even the teacher is a part of the circle, and everybody shares their problems. We find a
yeah,
solution to all their problems collectively.
very good. Other places it's also called a circle of hope. They
Okay.
give a name like that. Yeah.
And this is the parents of the free school. The free school is called Alingana. Alingana means an embrace.
Embrace. Yeah,
So
beautiful.
yeah.
Nice name.
So,
Nice
and
name.
all our names start with A. The dining hall is called Ahara. The kitchen is called Annapurna. Again, these are
Uh,
personality development classes about unity. You know, everybody is holding the tip of the ribbon and the ball is balancing.
yeah.
So lessons on morality and personality
This is
development.
your village work?
And
Village?
yeah, this is the campus is next to a village called Tupran. And every Sunday, the students go to the village. Every Sunday, a different batch goes. We share food on festivals, and we have de-addiction camps. The children
So
teach
nice.
them certain handicraft things which they learn in the craft classes, an adult education program, and
Beautiful.
also teach them about spending and savings and thrift groups and all that.
Very nice.
So we were recognized at the United Nations at New York in 2007 when one of its first kind, the United Nations United Nations Youth Assembly was conducted, and they recognized our student coordinator for the Gram Seva activity. He received an award, the only one from Asia during that particular year. And these are not
Beautiful.
conducted. So we met the CM, then CM, Dr. Rajshekar Reddy, the insert picture.
Nice.
And then that year we took up another interesting program called the Youth Assembly of India. So we wanted to spread this concept of service not only from Abhyasa, but to the other schools and colleges of Hyderabad. So we created this service clubs in each of the schools, and they are supposed to do some service activities for a whole year. And every year we used to conduct this Youth Assembly of India, where we used to reward, recognize, and celebrate the service activities of each school and each college. Almost
Beautiful.
60 to 100 colleges and schools were enrolled in Hyderabad. So all
Beautiful.
this was done outside Swami's organization. So we
Very
were
nice.
catering to people who were not in the Sai circle. schools and colleges, even the students of Abhyasa, 80% of them are not Swami's devotees. So we consider it a great opportunity that Swami is giving us to touch the lives of those who have not yet been drawn into Swami's life. And all of them are ultimately drawn into Swami's life. So this is a gold medal award for best practices in classroom teaching given by the Shankaracharya of Kanchi Kamakoti Peetham at Kanchipuram in 2003, recognizing the unique teaching methodology at Abhyasa.
Beautiful.
And for the last 10 years, survey after survey, publication after publication, right from Times of India, the Economic Times, the Indian Express, all these publications which conduct social surveys among schools, we have been ranked as the best ICSE school of Hyderabad and also the best residential school of Telangana. And the Economic Times has ranked one of the best brands of India, the 30 top best brands of India. And in 2018, the Asia One magazine has also given recognition for Abhyasa as one of the top 100 schools, best 100 schools in Asia.
Beautiful.
So all this by the divine love and blessings of Bhagwan, we're growing all over the places. And we even had principals of other schools from other countries, Singapore public school principals visiting, UK public school principals visiting Abhyasa to study our systems and methodology. And finally, this picture summarizes the whole curriculum and philosophy. There is no one method of being successful in life. The traditional crow always threw stones in the jar to get the water up. But the smart crow can even make a hole in the pot or use a straw to drink water. So every student has a place under the sun. And as a policy in Abhyasa, we have this no student left behind. Every student, this of course, from what we have learned from Parthi, how Bhagwan had appointed a dance tutor to me for a single student, a separate place, a separate time to learn dance. Not that he wanted me to perform in front of him, just to satisfy that urge. So taking that inspiration, every student in Abhyasa is given an opportunity to discover his or her talents, nurture those talents, and also exhibit those talents and taste success early in life so that they continue to carry that success forward. This is a program we hold every year in Hyderabad where all the 400 students from the residential school and the 200 students from the free school get together to give a collective performance. We write our own plays, we write our own themes, and we create an opera, dance, drama, song, everything, and present it before the audiences, the parents, and other visitors from Hyderabad. Again, these are this free school student children performing as a part of the Hemant Utsav, it's called. It's held in January every year at the same time when our sports. These are again the free school children, the village children chanting Vedam at the commencement of the program. This was the drama that Sri Krishna Raya.
Beautiful. Very nice.
This is one of the pictures that I clicked in the hostel. Swami was saying, "No, you can't get me," something like that. But this was in the hostel, famously known as a thumbs up picture of Swami.
It is no doubt about it. It's a wonderful journey, Vinayak. It's a wonderful journey to go through and to be grateful to Bhagwan for all these excellent opportunities to experience. If I ask you to summarize value education, what would that be?
It's integrity between thought, word, and deed. What you think, say that. What you say, do that. When a person has an integrity between all these three, he need not be afraid of anybody in life. And there's no greater value than Satya and the action that follows, that is Dharma. And the principle between the two is Prema, the love, which we have learned and experienced and right now practicing in our professional life, which we learned from Bhagwan and practicing in our professional life. If you permit me, if you have time, I would like to relate one incident related to this integrity aspect. When the students reached I told you we took admission till 7th grade. When they came till 8th and 9th, and when the students were there in 9th grade, we were supposed to get affiliated to the ICSE council. And the state government of Andhra Pradesh that time in 1999 would not give us recognition, would not give us permission. And we can't go to the ICSE council at New Delhi and get affiliation. And as you know, the system, they were expecting bribes. They were expecting me to oil their palms, which I was not prepared to do. And there from the ICSE, I was getting pressure. You are not supposed to take students in 9th class. Better send the 9th grade students to other schools, and you cannot run the 9th grade. I just prayed to Bhagwan. Every year we used to take students to Bharti, by the way. And every year, Swami would benevolently grant Padanamaskar, grant Vibhuti Prasad, used to talk to the students. Abhimanyu, one thing I cannot forget, in the very first year when all of us together, Swami, please visit Abhyasa, please visit Abhyasa. Swami said like this, in this mudra, he said, Tappakunda Vastan. That is the greatest assurance that he's given. I cannot forget these words. Though Swami has not visited Hyderabad itself since then, but we all know that his words never fail. He might come
Tapakunda
to
is like,
Shri
I will
Sai.
certainly, surely I will
I'll
come.
definitely come. Yeah.
I'll definitely come.
So that year in 1999, when we took our students to Swami for Bhagwan's blessings, Bhagwan used to take akshatas and bless everybody. And then I gave a letter personally to Swami. Swami, please do something. They're telling that the 9th class students should leave the school. They are our first batch of students. I can't send them away. Do something. And next day, when we returned from Bharti, I came home. The train reaches Hyderabad at 5 o'clock. Then by the time I reached home, it was 6 o'clock. 6:30, the newspaper man gave the newspaper. And when I opened the newspaper for the page 3, local Hyderabad news, it said Mr. T. Vijay Kumar, IAS, appointed as the new Secretary of Education. This was a man whom I know closely. He's a devotee of Swami. His father, Pendekante Venkat Subbaya, was a governor of Karnataka. I think when our students staged Shankaracharya program, he was the chief guest in Bangalore. So this man's son becomes the education secretary. The previous day, Swami took my letter. I come to Hyderabad and open the newspaper. This man becomes the education secretary just at that time. When so Bhagwan took the letter. So I went to him that very day and said, sir, your department is not giving my school permission. It's 3 years. And he called the whole district education department from the district headquarters to his head office in Hyderabad. And within 3 hours, not 3 years, but 3 hours, permission is over, recognition is over, and a no objection certificate to go to ICSE Council at New Delhi. Then I said, I'm not going to play with the ICSE Council. I'm not going to hide anything from them. I confessed before them that this is what has happened. The government played with us. They were so understanding that I didn't have to send my 9th class students also. They gave affiliation within 1 month. And the 9th class students is an exception for Abhyasa that we started the 9th class without affiliation. Because today I'm an inspector of school myself. I go for inspecting schools that are affiliated to Abhyasa. There were so many schools I know which were stalled because they started 9th class without getting affiliation from ICSE Council. So this is a great lesson I've learned, Abhimanyu, that when you surrender to him, he breaks the rules, he mends the rules, and honesty is the best policy. When you are truthful, when you're honest, when you're completely in integrity, he takes care of you. You don't have to
So, so Brother Vinayak,
create
what is your
fast.
next venture in the future? I believe there is something left in your film production side. What is your next venture now?
Oh, I don't know. You have to give me another day for this. There's a lot of huge, big story, but let me see how much I can summarize in 5 to 6 minutes or
Yeah,
maybe
please.
10 minutes. Uh, Sometime in 2006 or 7, when things were stabilizing, I somehow got this thought. I attended a course called Landmark Education, which was nothing but Swami's teaching put in a very practical way. And there, you have to make a declaration at the end of the session, the course that you undergo, a declaration for the future. This is what you want to achieve. And something made me declare that I want to get an Oscar for Hyderabad out of the blue, mind you. And I'm saying this even today, after 10 years after I said that. But they teach you the whole process. Again, the whole process is about what Swami said, integrity between thought, word, and action. So, whatever you say, whatever you declare, you're supposed to take action on that. And after 15 years after starting the college, after starting Abhyasa, as a student, I go and join a film school for 2 years. Like a regular student, I'm going there from morning to evening 6. I learn the art of filmmaking. And when I made this declaration, and when I also, before I joined the film school, again, I was seeking Bhagwan's permission. Am I doing the right thing? Am I taking the right steps? So that year, it was in January 2010. January 2010, the Hyderabad Samiti took all educationalists of Hyderabad, vice chancellors, principals of schools and colleges. Everybody was got together, and a Bharti Yatra was undertaken. And Brother Kantarao and M.R.K. Prasad were kind enough to say, hey, you also join. They said, look, I'm a student, and if I sit along with vice chancellors and principals, like this shot, hey, nothing will happen. Yeah, enjoy the moments. So I just took the chance because I always used to have a desire when I'm sitting in the portico. One day I should sit with the VIP. I should come as a VIP to Swami. Well, you call it weird or whatever it is. So Bhagawan fulfilled that dream 1 year before he attained Samadhi. So I was sitting in the front in the Kulwant Hall along with the vice chancellors. And Bhagawan was gracious to give a discourse, a message to all of us in the Purnachandra Hall in one of those 2 days. Trust me, Abhimanyu, he started talking about Savitri, Satyavan, truth, and then suddenly shifted to films. He was talking about how when Esther Year's actress Kanchanamala was his devotee, and then he was talking about Jamni Ganeshan. You can trace that discourse, January 2010. For half an hour to 45 minutes, Swami spoke about films and the life in film world. And remember, I don't know if it's appropriate to say this here, you know, those days, just towards the last years before attaining Mahasamadhi, there was a talk that Swami speaks in very vague language that we don't understand. We don't understand the inner meaning. Maybe Swami's health is deteriorating, that's why he's speaking like that. I mean, those who were of us in the mundane level used to say certain things. But this was a very good evidence for me to understand that he was actually talking to me. Maybe for the rest of them, it was Swami was speaking out of the blue. This doesn't make sense to them. So in that message, Swami very clearly gave the sense, you can go ahead, but be careful when you enter this world. It's a very world full of dirty people. Don't be like a lotus. Don't get attached to anything, anybody. Just do your work and proceed. So that was the green signal that I got from Bhagwan. Joined the film school. 2 years, and also did a 1 month course from the New York Film Academy, a diploma in film direction and screenwriting. And the day I submitted my thesis film at my film school, the next day, Sunday, 24th April 2011, Bhagwan attained Mahasamadhi. Immediately rushed to Parthi. I was there for those 3 days. Again, I come back from Parthi, open the newspaper. There's a director, Telugu director, who wants to make a film on Swami. And believe me, when I was coming back from Parthi and the film thesis that I just submitted, I was thinking, how it would be if I made a film on Swami. And next day, I opened the newspaper. A famous Telugu film director, Mr. Kodi Ramakrishna. He's a director of 125 Telugu films. It's a record. Only 2 people have attained that record. So he's going to make a film, and then I don't know how to contact him. I have no contacts in the film world. After 1 week, 10 days, one of my classmates from the film school calls me up and said, look, I got a call from this Kodi Ramakrishna to assist him in making Sai Baba's film. I told him I'm not interested. He's related to me. I said, that's exactly, I wanted to meet this person. You know him? Yeah, he's related to me. He asked me. I said, I don't want, because I'm already working with another director. I just called you to find out what you are doing. Which director are you joining? Because after finishing the film school, we all join different established directors to work along with them and learn the art. So see how things are falling in place. Then
So you are making a movie on Bhagwan?
So no, the production already started. So 6 months of research, another 6 months of, I'll just come to that. 6 months of research and 6 months of shooting. We shot half the film, and then the film ran out of finances. Production ran out of finances.
Okay.
We did the music with Ilayaraja. I had an opportunity to work with Ilayaraja ji for 3 months in Chennai and Mumbai for the recording. So much of experience for 3 years traveling with this director, because he was also making a film in Kannada. He also made a film in Hindi. That film didn't obviously get to release. I'll tell you why. After 3 years of traveling with this person, and Swami's film was not moving forward, suddenly Swami comes in my dream and says, you leave this film director. I just leave him. I traveled with him for 3 years and I just leave him. What do I tell him? Swami asked me to leave you. I said, Bhagwan, your ways are mysterious. What do I do? Then I said, I can't. Then I asked one of our Sai brothers, what do I do? He said, no, don't take such drastic steps. There may be some other meaning with Swami. He said, no, just go and be in touch. Let's see what he says. Then it was Ugadi 3 days later. I took a bouquet to wish him. And then he was not there. His elder brother had expired, so he went to his native place. So then I understood that Swami is very serious. He doesn't want me to meet this person anymore. I stopped contacting him. I stopped receiving his phone calls also. And 1 year later, I come to know that this film has gone into the wrong hands. I can't give you details here. I hope you understand what I mean.
Yeah, sure. No,
it's gone into the wrong hands and the film got stalled. And a year later, this director also expired. So the film is shut. At the same time, I got an inspiration where when I'm traveling to Kerala, an astrologer tells me that you think you're working with a film director. You don't understand that you actually did a course in direction. This is learning. I'm hearing from an astrologer in a place near Guruvayur, which I was visiting for a principal's conference. And this astrologer, I'm not interested in astrology. I didn't want to visit him also. But a Malayalam Manorama correspondent from Puttaparthi calls me and says, I heard the Malayalam message that you must be in Kerala. You should visit Guruvayur. He's the person who made me go to Guruvayur. And on the way to Guruvayur, he says, you meet this astrologer. I said, Swami is our astrologer. He determines the future. Why should I go to astrologer? No, he's a good devotee of Swami. You will have extra time before the temple opens. Go and visit him. I took it as a call from Swami. And this man says, you think you did a film course because you were interested. No, it is Swami who made you do it. You are going to make a movie on Swami. Me. I don't, I can't, I mean, where does the resources? Who am I? And then he said, spend 3 days in Puttaparthi, sleep there for 3 nights, meditate in front of Bhagwan's Samadhi. He will tell you what to do. I thought Swami is giving me instructions to this astrologer whom I didn't want to visit at all. Immediately after coming back from Cochin, after a week, I went to Puttaparthi. I did meditation there in front of Bhagwan's Samadhi. I stayed there for 3 nights as instructed. And then in a meditation, I get a message that you write the script. You start writing my script. It's a flash thought that I get. So I was very confused. Am I seeing? Am I hallucinated or am I? What am I getting?
So today, where are we? Have you finished writing the script?
Yes, I have finished the first part, which is going to be published as a book this month, and part 2
wonderful.
I've done 50%. In another 2 months, I'll be completing the part 2 also. It's in 2 parts, part 1 and part 2, because story of Bhagwan can be said. Even 2 parts is quite less that way. But again, this is for, as Bhagwan inspired, this is for non-devotees.
The general public.
We live with Bhagwan. Yeah, we don't need to see Bhagwan, somebody playing the role of Bhagwan on a screen. We have lived with him, and those memories are enough for 100 lifetimes, if at all we have more. But this is an inspiration or an instruction I take for people who are not devotees of Bhagwan. This is for the come you next, which Swami referred to. This is for the liberals. It's scripted for the liberals, basically. The so-called...
I pray and wish you all the best. It's a very huge responsibility, because to depict Bhagwan, as you said, it is not any human effort. It has to be a divine will. And I really pray and wish you all the very best in this wonderful venture, because this requires really nothing but His grace.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think today we really crossed the time too much. Sure, please.
Sincerely, that it's He who's writing. We are just nimitta matras, or just instruments. It is He who gives the thoughts. It's He who writes. And I only sincerely thank Him from the bottom of my heart for giving me this opportunity to write His story and take it. And I don't know when it's going to come out.
Certainly. No problem. We'll look forward to it. Maybe next month we'll look for the book, and then we'll see how it goes forward. So, Brother Vinaayak, I want to thank you very much. I'm sorry it got extended half an hour extra, but I really wish to thank you very much for all your sharing. You have really given us a wonderful nostalgic journey. Grateful to Bhagwan again for that. Any final words before we close?
Probably I would like to say that Swami is a Vishwa Virat Swarup. And just like the Gopika example I gave in the beginning, Krishna becomes many Krishnas for each of the Gopikas. And the 1,000 mothers form that Swami takes for each of his children is also different. It's also very difficult to fathom. But all I want to say that each one has a different path to tread. Each one has a different route to take. And Swami guides each person according to that person's needs, that person's wishes or life mission or whatever role Swami wants them to play. So we need to seek Swami inside us. We need to ask Swami inside within us. We cannot understand Swami completely. Just as Swami himself says, a drop of water cannot measure the ocean. We are all like blind people trying to understand what the elephant looks like. But each of us is holding one part of the elephant and said it looks like a pillar, it looks like a snake, it looks like a fan, and it looks like a rope holding the tail. None of us in these sharings are able to describe the elephant or describe the Vishwa Virat Swarup of Bhagawan completely. But each drop, the program that you're conducting for all the students, each of us is adding a drop to the ocean. And one day when we become the ocean, we'll definitely understand what the real ocean is. Till then, let us all
Let's
surrender to
enjoy.
Him and
Yes,
find our
all
own
enjoy
path.
the glory of God. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I thank
Thank you,
all the
everyone.
viewers for joining us and remaining with us all through this program. This video will be on the channel. You feel free to share it and enjoy the glory of Lord. Thank you, Brother
Thank
Vinayak.
you.